Hello everyone, welcome to an extra special stream. We're doing another list video. I'm Captain Logan, and look, it's my wonderful chat moderator and producer of the Captain Logan Show, which goes into its 200th episode tomorrow evening. It's DJ Martinez. Hello, DJ.
Oh, it's going to be a great night tomorrow, guys. Hopefully you tune in. But hey, I love lists.
Oh, don't promise that. It's going to be a show, and it's going to be 4 hours, and that is all I'm promising.
That's all we can promise. And
But
I think we
DJ
can promise that we're
can't.
going to lose our minds a little bit.
We just can't get enough of you, and we just can't get enough of each other. So here we are once again. Oh,
Two
he's
late
got the
nights in a
cup.
row.
He's got the
Oh, I
cup
do have
too.
the cup.
There she is. I haven't seen her in a while. I've
I've
missed
been
you hardly.
cycling through. I've got so many of them now. My wife gets a Coke Icy every time we go to a new movie, and they swindle her with these fancy cups.
You know what I almost did? I wish I had. I almost went on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or something and tried to get the cup for the 200th show, and I didn't think of it until it was a little bit too late to get one delivered. But I wish I'd done that.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Anyway, tonight we're going to talk about streaming services once again. DJ and I have reviewed and kind of tested out, done reaction videos to at least 2 or 3 of these.
A couple, yeah. We did a few. And then, of course, we had Streaming Wars, that show, for a while.
Yeah. Which I'd like to get back to at some point. That was a lot of fun. And so, yeah, for whatever reason, DJ and I have landed on doing a lot of videos on specifically streaming services and kind of comparing and contrasting them. So tonight we're going to do a full-on comparison-contrast video. We're going to count down our top 5 favorite streaming services. And it'll be interesting because I think certainly there's going to be a lot of overlap, but there also might be some services that one of us has that the other one doesn't, or that one of us has spent more time with than the other. And there's one in particular I'm thinking of. I'll just give you a little bit of a hint that is in the thumbnail that I've never used whatsoever at all, but I know DJ has, and I imagine will be on his list somewhere. So I'm curious to see if that is the case. And there's one I know for sure that is on my list that can't possibly be on DJ's. So
That's right. And of course, I don't use Paramount Plus, and it's your favorite thing ever. So
absolutely,
that'll...
that's clearly number one at the top of the list. No, it's not, and we'll talk a lot about why in comparing that to other services that function.
Well, that is a necessary feature of any service, really, not just of the streaming variety. It has to function.
Okay, I found this to be almost an arbitrary exercise, DJ. I thought that this was a very difficult list to make as far as ranking it. Figuring out the 5, not as big of a deal. There were one or two that were kind of fighting for the bottom spot, but I actually chose mine this time, DJ, more systematically than I ever have a list before. I did mine completely mathematically.
Wow. That's awesome. I'm excited to hear about your formula.
I found
your top secret formula.
And I'm not sure the formula worked because I ended up with a 3-way tie and a 2-way tie, and I ended up having to kind of choose anyway to some degree. But it did knock off one that would have been in the list if I had just kind of chosen willy-nilly. I found this to be a difficult exercise because of criteria, or I should say variables. So I chose 5 criteria for the 5 streaming services that we picked tonight, and I'll tell you real quick what those are for me. Awesome. Because as I was because a couple days ago I went ahead and, just like I usually do with videos like this, kind of in a half-ass way, just wrote them out and was like, which one would I put in which spot? And then I was like, yeah, but based on what exactly? So because there
we gotta fill out the video, we gotta have reasons.
Yeah, well, and it's not just like the 1 or 2 major things where it's really easy if you do a list, for instance, of movies to go, it's mostly about entertainment factor. Like forgetting everything else, it doesn't have to be like the greatest movie ever made, just what's my favorite, how do I feel about it. That was much harder to do with this, partly because I don't have like an affinity for these services as like things I'm a fan of or that I collect or something. They're just serviceable things that I use to watch the aforementioned movies. So here were my 5 criteria. Let me know what you think of this, DJ. I based mine on, first of all, just overall selection. of like offerings of things that you can watch on the service. And of course, this is still going to be a subjective thing because it's overall selection for my taste, for what I care about. You know, to some degree anyway. And then I listed originals as a separate thing, like overall selection, but then original programming. The thing makes itself, because a lot of people would probably rank theirs based on these are the services that give me things I have to watch every time they come out, and I don't necessarily have that with some of these. And I don't watch a lot of new things right when they come out. That's not what I come to streaming services for as much, because I don't have as much time as I once did. Video player, how well the player actually works and functions. Price is a big thing. And then the interface layout of the thing and the functionality of the layout in particular. And I feel like I could have ranked my services based on just any one of these criteria, but you factor them all in and it gets a lot harder.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that method. That's kind of what I did too. I didn't like at the end of the day like, oh, this one gets 3 points, this one, I didn't do it mathematically, but I did bring up all the points you just mentioned in my notes.
Cool.
And so I kind of broke it up into, I just did pros and cons. So, but I included those things in my pros and my cons, whichever one it falls. Like if the UI is good, it falls in the pros, or if it's not, it's in the cons. Oh, and then cool. I broke it up kind of like, most of it, like you said, is going to be subjective based on my tastes and especially my taste right now. Like I'm a very different person than I even was a couple of years ago, with kids now and how I've gotten into more classic stuff. But I did also include like some objective stuff, which I think the UI is more objective, like, you know, if it, you know, in the player stuff, I think those fall into more of the objective, like, I think this is actually a problem, not just like, I think this works for me. So that's basically what it is.
Well, and it sounds like you're probably going to want to talk more about specific offerings than I will. I found this to be a much more technical exercise because streaming for me right now, this is just a selfish thing on my part, streaming for me right now is much more of a like day-to-day, like just way to get through my day than it is like I'm gonna sit down and relax and enjoy a movie or a TV show or something. Like I use these things a lot for background right now because I'm taking care of babies all day long, and so it becomes a practical exercise. Immediately a service is going to drop a lot farther down my list if I very often have to wrestle with the thing for 5 minutes to get a thing to even start playing. And I've had that happen way too much with way too many of these things.
Yeah, and it seems like you've had a lot more than I have, so I'm interested to hear about that. But yeah, I just had something I was going to say and I completely forgot. Oh no, well, I'm sure it'll come to it. We're going to talk about all this stuff ad nauseum, probably, because we usually are pretty long in the tooth. But no, I'm excited to talk about it with you. Oh, I do not. It came back to me. So someone in the chat, anime fan, said, "Does DJ like streaming services?" That's weird because he's the DVD guy.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But let me explain. I am a collector, but I am, in my mind, a responsible collector, and I don't do blind buys anymore. I've been burned too many times with blind buys. I only buy things that I have seen and love, and I think that I'll watch again. Some things I love and I don't think I'll ever watch it again. I don't need to buy it. But things that I love and I can see myself watching again, either to show somebody or by myself or with my kids or whatever. So streaming services are what I use to take in the content and then decide what I want to collect. So I am a big proponent of streaming services. I have all of them, or not all of them, as we talked about in the beginning, but the ones that I think are useful. But yeah, so I'm actually, despite, I should be against it because it's like putting physical media kind of out of business, but I guess I'm in both camps with that one. So sorry, guys. Sorry for you physical media purists out there.
Well, I do both as well. I think I rely a lot more on streaming services these days than I ever used to, and than you probably do. We've talked about this. I'm lazy about it, where if I own a thing, I don't want to have to go get the disc if I am already subscribed to a service that will let me watch it. Partly because, again, dealing with kids all day, I've got a big house. A lot of my stuff is in my basement. It's not always practical to have to run all the way down here and get something. And so when I'm watching something in the home theater we have upstairs, it takes a lot longer to have to go get a disc, pull the thing out, put it in the player, and then Also, I haven't upgraded a lot of my collection. So like there are some movies that I've had for years and years because DVD quality is still good enough for me with a lot of things. It's nice to have the Blu-ray. I'm not even into 4K yet. I don't have a projector for that. It is part of it. But like with even Blu-rays, I tend to buy them new. But like if I've had a disc for a long time that still functions fine and it's not the most major theatrical experience ever, I don't have to have that. Like Matrix, yes. So Field of Dreams, I don't know, maybe I don't have to have that on Blu-ray, although I love that movie.
Yeah,
but
no, I understand.
The reason I bring that up is that part of the problem too is that with that comes the issue of sometimes the discs are old enough that they're a little scratched up and they don't play all the way through. And when that happens, I go, man, I wish I'd gone to the streaming service in the first place. So I tend to stream more often.
Yeah, and that is something that does happen a lot more with DVDs than Blu-rays. Blu-rays are a little bit more durable, but if you do have older DVDs, and sometimes the streaming service will actually look a little better. So I mean, I could see that's another reason why you don't necessarily want to go downstairs when they have a 4K version on the streaming service. So that makes sense.
But for folks that do mostly stream and wonder what the point of, besides just having a neat, cool collection like DJ has with his movies in his background and like I do with superhero stuff, there is a more practical reason to have at least your favorite things on physical media, which is, and you alluded to it earlier, DJ, with preservation. You cannot ever be 100% sure that you're going to have access to the thing tomorrow that you have access to today. With certain services, it's a little bit easier to be sure. Disney is not putting things in and out of a vault digitally like they were with physical. We were a little bit worried that might happen. For the most part, their major offerings at least have not been cycling in and out. So if you have Disney Plus and you want to watch a classic Disney animated movie or something, it's probably going to be there tomorrow if it's there today. Yeah. Anything that's on Netflix, anything that's on Prime, et cetera, you don't know from day to day. And the most irritating experience is, because, I mean, who's keeping up with all the time, this is what's leaving Netflix on the 30th? And like those articles are out there, but I'm not always keeping up with that. The most annoying thing in the world is I'm going to have a movie party. I'm going to have people over to watch this movie. I know it's on this service. They get here today, it's left, and I have had that happen, and I didn't bother to go buy the movie. Like that happened with Back to the Future. It was on Netflix. That I planned to watch it with my kids. We were gonna have like a whole party, and we were gonna watch the trilogy. And I had to run out to every Best Buy I could find and try to get in other stores. I went to 4 stores before I could find the trilogy, and now it's freaking everywhere, and I can't stop seeing it. And now it's streaming more readily. But anyway, you were gonna say we had it with something.
We had it with a brilliant movie that we both watched at the same time by total happenstance, and we were gonna do a review of it, and it left HBO Max right before we started. Facing the Crowd, a great movie. It
was worse than that. We had planned to do a commentary, and the day of, we looked it up, and it wasn't there, and it was there days earlier, maybe a couple of days earlier, and neither of us had a copy yet. And even though we both have a Criterion copy now, I would still feel a little bit funky about doing a commentary on it if it wasn't streaming, because who else owns that? Yeah, but we could at least review it.
Me, you, and Connor. Watching along.
I'll make a commentary just for Connor, sure.
Sure. He's a great guy.
Why not? But anyway, I like what you said. We'll get into the actual list here in a minute. It's not Geekvolution if we don't have a 20-minute preamble. I like what you said. So going the other direction, so it's nice to have your favorite things because you always know you have access to them. That was the point I was making with that. But I also like what you said on kind of the flip side. It seems like you use streaming services as a sampler to decide what you want to buy and what you can kind of dismiss, so that if down the road you go, I don't want any of these streaming services anymore, you've got this whole library of stuff that you can watch that that you care about. And so you're essentially, and I think that this is going to be a way that a lot of people will in the future use streaming services, as people less and less are going to movie theaters for certain kinds of movies, DJ. You're using streaming services as a movie theater.
Yeah,
like that's what you're doing. You go, I'm gonna watch this movie this one time. I'm gonna try it out, And then if I like it, I'll buy it when it comes out, or maybe it's out already. The nice thing about what you're doing versus a movie theater, and this isn't me saying don't go to movies, kids, but the nice thing about what you're doing versus a movie theater is you don't have to pay $8, $10, $15 to go see the movie and hope that you enjoy it in a day and age where it's such a crapshoot whether or not you're going to like a movie.
Yeah, and I think I have done that before. I did that with, actually, an Oscar nominee this year, which I think is a terrible movie. It is, what is it called? Don't Look Up, the newest Adam McKay movie. Started watching that, looked over at my wife at one point and was like, this has got to be almost over. Let's see how much time we have left. Halfway through, whole hour left. I'm like, nope, we're not doing this. I just turned it off.
Yeah. You had that luxury.
Yeah. And yeah, I definitely use it like a movie theater, and it's become a necessity because I can't go to movie theaters as much anymore. Yeah. Barely at all, because once I had the kids, like one of our kids is still only 1 year old, so we're not really comfortable with babysitters yet. So we're still just waiting until they come to streaming, which thankfully these days is a lot sooner than it used to be.
It was a big deal that the last Matrix movie came out on HBO Max day and date, because that's a huge franchise for me and my wife, and I was not going to watch a Matrix movie without her the first time I saw it. And I did want to see that in the theater, and it turned out that it did not have as good of action and cinematography as the other movies, even though I liked that movie. So weirdly, it wasn't that big of a deal to not see that on the big screen. It would not have been a great theatrical experience, I don't think. Dune, it was weird to see for the first time on a small screen, but then I did go to a movie theater to see it. But anyway, to your point, Sarah can't go to the theater at all right now, and with the babies, unless she went by herself, and she never cares enough about a movie to go without me. So it was a big deal that Matrix Resurrections came to streaming right away. The Batman didn't, and Sarah still hasn't gotten to see that, and that is upsetting.
Yeah. Well, they stopped that, right? I think the Batman might be their first big release where they stopped it, which is a bummer.
It is, but it was nice of them. They did announce like 5-6 weeks later, like I think early to middle of next month, it's gonna already be on Max, and then disc like a few weeks after that. I mean, real quick.
Okay, cool. I was able to see that one in the theater, and I'm glad it was, because it was beautiful.
Because it's great.
Film. Yeah.
Well, should we go ahead and get into the count here?
Yeah, you want to? Let's hop right into it. 5 was actually the hardest one for me. Like you said, they kind of tied a lot of ties. I kind of got my first 3 or 4 like pretty quickly, and then I was like 5 was like, oh, what am I going to shove there? I don't know. I don't really have a one that I like as much. So, but I think I'm happy with it.
My foolproof, surely there's nothing wrong with it, I'm great at statistics, setup here he says facetiously, thinking that there must be something horribly wrong with the scientific experiment that I just did with this, set it up so that the bottom 2 had to be there, and everything else went off of it. So it was actually deciding on 4 and 5, because that was a tie, was a little bit difficult. Picking the top 3's order was actually the hardest thing for me.
Yeah.
But why don't I let you go first, and
Sure.
We'll go ahead and just and just count these down, and go from obviously least to best. And maybe I think I like your idea from before we started recording, DJ. We'll spend more time talking about the service itself after the last guy has put it on his list.
Okay, yeah, that'll keep us from repeating ourselves and stuff, I think. All right, well,
thanks
my number
for being
5.
here, everybody that's watching live, by the by.
Yeah, great to see you guys in the chat. We got a good little crowd. I haven't checked the numbers in a while. That's good. All right. Well, let's get into it. Let's give the people what they want. My number 5.
I don't need validation. It's very important. That's why we stream everything now. If we don't have at least 15 people watching us at any given time, we consider just giving up forever and not.
Yeah, it's like a streaming service. We just turn it off. We just stop the live show.
Exactly. Yeah.
But my number 5, I don't even know if this is going to make your list. This is kind of an infamous one, but it's kind of gotten better in the last couple of years, I think.
Do tell.
This is where I have Amazon Prime.
Would you believe that Prime is also my number 5?
There it is. Look at that. Simpatico. Yes. So let's just jump right into it then.
Absolutely.
This was kind of an infamous one for me for a while. I used to call this one like my bottom of my barrel, mainly just for the UI. The UI was horrendous, and it's still not great. But it used to be way worse. They used to like mix, and this is the thing that irritates me the most. This is why Apple TV will not be on this list. Spoiler alert. They mix in.
That's the one that I thought would be here.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have spoiled that. Dang
Wow.
it.
Okay.
They put the paid stuff. Amazon used to mix in like the paid stuff with the Prime stuff, and it was like impossible until you clicked on the movie to open it up. It'd be like, oh nope, you got to pay for this, and I hated it. Just recently, they have fixed that, and they added these little like little icons up on the top. So there's a big bold like blue Prime thing on the top of everything that's Prime, so you can see it right from the front. Then there's a white thing for stuff with ads, and then there's a gold thing with a little $sign for stuff that's paid. So if you see that, you don't even have to look at it, because I don't want to. I already pay for the streaming service. I hated when they would put stuff there to try to get you to click on it, and then you had to pay for it again. So I'm glad that they've cleared that up.
They've somewhat cleared it up. Can I still complain about it though?
Yeah, sure.
So they have a tab now that's free to you or free to me or whatever it's called. And if you click on that, then you can look at specifically just the like actually free Amazon Prime stuff. But it's not, I don't think, I haven't looked real close at it. It's not segmented quite as well as like a Netflix or an HBO Max or something. With all the categories and things, I still wish that it would kind of be a totally separate thing, like from rental. Like I wish Amazon's rentals just weren't anywhere near the Prime thing. I don't like that they grandfather in everything with the word Prime. I don't like it. It's like Prime Video, and like everything Prime is all in the same place.
Yeah.
And I think it should be like more of a separate thing, and every other service that has paid things has this problem that I've seen. Comixology does this. If you go to like Marvel Unlimited, the service for comics, it has this problem to some degree. If you just look at their website, they've got an app that totally separates it, and I wish Prime Video had an app that would totally separate it, but it doesn't. Yeah. It's still got all the rentals in it, and I use the rentals sometimes more than I use the actual free stuff. Part of that's because I don't really know what all the offerings are, so like it's better now.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I still wish it wasn't mixed in, because I'm never going to use that stuff. But I do like that they make it clear right on the thumbnail, so you know before you click on it. But yeah, of course I still wish it wasn't mixed in, and I wish they would separate it out. But I mean, it's a marketing strategy. They want you to see something and be like, oh, and they want you to be excited enough that you see it, that you will pay $3 to watch it. But I don't like that. But yeah, other good things about it is we talk about price. It's not like an amazing price or anything, but it is nice that it's built into something that I get anyway. Like I pay for it for free shipping, so it's like whatever. It's like basically a free streaming service because we use it for other things.
Yep.
For the 2-day shipping thing, and then it's just like a bonus that we get a little video service. But yeah, what else? I think they have original. Oh, isn't Miss Maisel an original? I think they have a lot of. Not a lot, but they have some good originals. I think, what was the big one? The Nazi show that was big for a while.
Yeah, so that's Man in the High Castle,
yes.
Which I liked a lot. I've still not finished it. I keep going back to that show and going to wherever I left off and being like, I don't remember what's happening in the show.
No, that's a show you got to watch all the way through.
I'm gonna have to go back to the beginning, but I think I got 3 or 4 seasons. Amazon lately has been more popular for comic book stuff. With The Boys and with Invincible, which I've still not sat down and watched yet.
Yeah, we're the only ones that aren't going to put that as pros on our list, but everyone else would put that on there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I will. The Boys, I reviewed the pilot and liked it a lot. I watched 2 or 3 more episodes, and I'm not as jazzed about it after that. It's still a good show, but like I was ecstatic about that pilot. But then Amazon had to go off and cancel my favorite superhero show of all time, which is of course the most recent iteration of The Tick, and it seemed like they kind of got rid of it in favor of The Boys, so I'm still sour on that. But they have had some really good original offerings, certainly, and they've been a major player in that space as a like new streaming like honest to God TV network, which like you alluded to a minute ago, is kind of impressive since it's sort of, you could sort of treat it like a free service if you're already using Prime shipping. So like, I don't know how many people are subscribing to that specifically for their original programming, but it's really smart business the way they've got it baked in.
But it's also a negative because you don't feel like you're paying for it, so you forget about it. And I find myself going long stretches without ever using Amazon Prime because it's just kind of like it just renews every year, and I don't think about it as much. But
I think I would forget about it more if I wasn't, and I'll probably say this about some other things too. I mean, the only reason I have as many streaming services as I do really is because of certain things I have to keep up with Geekvolution. Not that I follow a lot of current stuff anymore. I'm not doing Primetime Crisis. That's the reason I had to get Hulu in the first place years ago. Was keeping up with all the superhero shows, which was an insane person thing to do. But now a lot of it is requests. We have the $50 request tier. Not to plug that, but we do a request every week, and people request stuff that's on all these different services, and so that's part of the reason that I've hung on to some of them.
Yeah,
and, I was making some sort of point with that, but that's
and Amazon is good for that kind of stuff.
That's what I was going to say is because I'm having to rent things quite a bit. I'll go in and I'll rent the movie, and that's right. There are these free things on Prime too, and they'll be advertising a new show or something. I'll be like, that looks interesting, and I wouldn't have seen that advertisement if it wasn't for I'm already paying for this other movie. But I will complain. This is not about Prime. I will complain about something with. I'm doing this a lot. I will complain about something with the rental side of it, though, which is they used to have a lot of movies for $2.99 if you didn't mind watching them in standard definition, and nearly everything is at $3.99 now. It's very rare that I only have to pay $2.99 for a rental now, and I don't love that.
They're up and I'm like just like the comics did. But yeah, Amazon. I was gonna say Amazon is good for stuff like that, where it's like, where is this at? And you just type in some random movie. Oh, it's on Amazon. Like, I don't often like scroll through Amazon and like look at what they have, but like when I find a random, like they'll have a lot of older classic stuff on there. Like, I think the old monster movies are on there, like at Halloween time when I was trying to find those. But like, they have had some classics that I've watched recently.
I used it more often for like somewhat obscure. Or just things people forgot about, like 90s TV shows and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a very strange TV collection because Hulu really kind of dominates that area. But they do have TV on Prime.
For a long time, yeah, and more than you probably realize if you haven't sought it out on purpose. For a long time, that was the place to watch the Stargate shows. And recently, SG1 was on Prime and Hulu, and maybe even a third thing for the longest time. And then in December, I think, it dropped off I think it was on Netflix, too, and it dropped off the face of the planet. And you can't watch SG1 anywhere right now. And that's the first time that's ever happened. Wow. And then Amazon just bought, was it MGM they bought? Or was it... What's the big movie studio that Amazon just bought?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't hear about this.
Because if it was MGM, then they'll have Stargate again. Or Amazon will have Stargate, and I'm just kind of an aside. I'm kind of curious to see if they do anything with that property. But anyway,
well,
yes,
cool.
they bought MGM for $8.5 billion.
Amazon, wow.
And I'm surprised that hasn't come up on the Captain Logan show. But
yeah, one final thing I'll say about Amazon that is a really cool feature, and they probably have the patent on it, so other streaming services can't do it. But have you ever checked out they're calling it the X-ray feature now? It used to just be like it would pop up by itself, but when you click the X-ray button, a thing will slide up.
Oh, is that the like information?
Yes. It used to just be like the cast, which I thought was really cool. Like it shows the cast that's in that specific scene that you're watching. But now it also has scenes. Like you can jump through the scenes of the movie like a Blu-ray, and it also has what I think is really cool is the music. It has all the music of the film, which I had that a lot where I'm like, I want to know what song is this, and I can immediately pause it and just find out what song it is. It's pretty cool. That's just a UI thing that none of the other streaming services are doing. So I think that's pretty cool.
I think they've also, as mentioning UI, I think they've also gotten a little bit better with their player about certain things. Like you used to have to, if memory serves, a while back, you used to have to like back out of a show or a movie to turn on subtitles and stuff. And I think that's
I hate that.
I think that's actually built in now with memory.
Subtitles
serves.
are going to come up on tonight more than you would think.
Yep.
That's a big thing for me.
It's a big thing for me, yeah. Well, again, for work, I have to use subtitles all the time, and for commentaries, but also if I'm reviewing anything, I want to be able to read the words and make sure I'm not missing anything. But the other thing, real quick, I wanted to mention with Prime is. I don't know if you're aware of this, and this is not a streaming service that will be on my list for lots of reasons, but there is a new service that is free that's IMDb TV, and it's being advertised everywhere constantly, and they have a surprisingly impressive offering of movies and things for a service you don't have to pay for. But it has the worst player on the planet. It's worse than Paramount Plus. And
I'm sure they didn't spend too much money on that player.
It is sometimes unusable, and there's a lot of things I can complain about it, but I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because it's not actually on my list. But they are in cahoots with Amazon, and everything, as far as I can tell, that IMDb offers, you can watch through Amazon's player instead. So, like, they have, like, game show content, and the new Judge Judy show is there. For some reason, they offered her insane amounts of money to be on a free streaming service. I don't know what they were thinking.
That'll bring all the kids to the yard.
She was still, like, well, that's what I don't get, is, like, 65-year-old retired people sitting in their Barcalounger watching Judge Judy for 4 hours at a time. Are they going to IMDb.com?
I don't even know what IMDb is.
No, I don't know what they were thinking, but she is laughing all the way to the bank. I don't know if you know just what Judge Judy is worth, but, like, she's one of the highest paid TV personalities of all time, and she went to IMDb TV. Anyway, that show, I've watched some of that. It's entertaining, and that show is unwatchable on IMDb TV, so you have to watch it on Amazon.
Wow. Sorry, I thought of one more quick thing.
Oh, Lioness Song actually just made the exact same point I did as I was making it.
That's cool. One other cool thing about Amazon is they have built into the service like channels that you can like add-ons, like Showtime.
Yeah.
Which we had to add on a little bit, which your kids can buy, by the way, very easily. Both of my kids, when they were about 1 year old, signed up for Showtime. I don't know what that is. They both did it. It kind of worked out when my daughter did it recently because the new Dexter show had just dropped, and my wife wanted to watch that anyway, so she watched that. But
she wasn't actually watching that show.
No, my daughter was not. But she did sign up.
Thanks for reminding me. I actually have to get back to. I watched the pilot, or I shouldn't say pilot, but the first episode of that revival show, and I liked it quite a bit. I need to finish that.
Yeah. I don't think she's finished it either, but. And you can add the Boomerang. Like, there's a bunch of different add-ons. We've added the Boomerang one here and there when we wanted to watch, like, some Scooby-Doo stuff.
I used to. It's somewhat pointless now because most of what's on Boomerang is on Max now.
Yeah. And we'll probably talk about that later, so we should hold on to that. But, yeah, Amazon Prime, it's pretty good. Better than it used to be. Still in our number 5. So
I was surprised it made my list. I almost forgot about it. I almost didn't even list it. And then when I thought of it, I was like, oh, you know what? I do use that some, and I mean, we still have it, so I should probably put it here
dark horse, man.
See how my numbers work out. So I'll tell you what my numbers were real quick for Prime. So Prime was a 3-way tie for the bottom with my 3 and 4, and it got 16 points. So each of my 5 categories also, I made everything about 5 because we were doing a top 5. So I had 5 categories, and for each of those categories, you could get a points anywhere between 1 and 5. So overall selection for Prime, I gave a 3. For their originals, I gave a 4 because I think compared to other services, they've got better quality new stuff and maybe a decent variety. Their video player, I only gave a 3 because I've had some issues with it here and there, particularly on the Amazon Fire Stick, which is a mistake because it's Amazon that makes the Fire Stick, and their service doesn't always work great on it. So That's a problem. And then interface and layout, I gave 3-2 as well for all the reasons we talked about earlier.
Yeah. It's firmly in number 5. Like I said, I had my 4, and then I was like tossing around. I'm like, oh, this is. It surprised me, but yeah, this is the best out of the last one. So it popped onto my list.
Well, we can just go right to 4 now. I mean, we spent a long time on that, but we both had the same thing at the same place.
Yeah, well, we'll see if that ever happens again. That would be interesting.
I think it could. I think our number 4 could very easily be the same. We'll see what you listed.
I don't know. This might be a weird pick. Let me know what you think in the comments or in the live chat. My number 4 is Hulu.
Okay, Hulu did not make my list.
Oh, perfect.
It was bumped by Prime.
Gotcha. All right, well, I'll talk about Hulu for a little bit. I have a kind of a not special relationship with Hulu. That sounded weird. I have a more unique. A lot of people use it also, but I use Hulu. That's my TV provider.
Hulu dumped him at prom.
I thought you were about to say Prime. Hulu dumped me in my Prime. Hulu
dumped him in the Prime universe.
Oh wait, don't give any sneak peeks to your number 1. Hulu is what I use as a TV provider, which may sound ridiculous to most of you. I also thought it was ridiculous. I didn't even grow up with TV, so this is not something that I needed in my life. But my wife likes to watch sports. She likes to watch live TV sometimes and some reality shows as they come out. So we do have a TV provider. So we have Hulu, no ads, plus the Hulu TV service, which is pretty expensive at this point. It was like 45 when we signed up just like a couple years ago. Now it's only up to 68.
I was using it 2 years ago to watch KU basketball, and I paid 45.
Yeah, it's at 68 right now.
Yep.
And that is Hulu, no ads. If you do the Hulu no ads and the live TV, you get the Disney Plus, ESPN, Discovery Channel bundle for free. So
nice.
It's basically that also. So it's a huge bundle, but it's $68 a month. It's outrageous.
And if there's anything for some reason that you want to watch on ESPN Plus, do it that way, because it is not worth paying for by itself. Okay, it's just not.
No, I've never even opened that.
Don't do it.
I haven't even activated that one.
I was paying for it for a while. I might get to Y after a little while, and then I quit for a bit, and I had to get it back, and then I totally forgot I still had it, and I just the other day accidentally paid for it again, and I was like, dang it! I'm not even using that.
So yeah, so it's good for my wife. The big thing I use Hulu TV for is they have the channel that I watch is the TCM channel, Turner Classic Movies, and they play a lot of stuff on there that is not streaming, and I can use the DVR feature and add it to my DVR, and I've been able to watch a ton of really old movies and a lot of classic movies on there that I would not have been able to watch with just streaming.
Is
so
there
I really
a
appreciate
limit to their DVR right now?
There is, and it's annoying. It is 50 hours. So there was a time when I was having to like watch those and get them out pretty quick because I had a lot of stuff saved up in there. So that's a bummer. I think YouTube is advertising that they have like unlimited for their DVR, but that's
I don't want to get ahead of us, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay. So yeah, that's one definitely a negative side is I can only have 50 hours, but like that also motivates me to actually watch stuff instead of just saving a million things and then never getting around to them. So I kind of like that as a little kick in the pants. But that's mostly what I use it for, is the DVR feature. I know that's not what a lot of people use it for, but that's where I get into the subjective area where, like, specifically for me and my purposes, I've been using Hulu TV a lot in the last 2 years, especially. And they have got some good original content on there too. We just finished watching Pam and Tommy, which is their miniseries that just dropped about Pamela Anderson and the Tommy guy.
I didn't think I wanted to see that, and then Red Letter Media reviewed it, and it sounded really interesting, and I think I might actually check it out now.
It's pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. It's the same guy who directed I, Tonya, which I really enjoyed.
Right, yeah, and I haven't seen that yet either. I want to.
Oh, okay. It's a great movie, which could totally exist in the Fargo universe because it just feels like that universe to me. But yeah, we really enjoyed that.
You know how I am with biopics. Like, I really want to see that.
Yeah, well, and this is a biopic miniseries, so check that out. And they've got some award nominees. I think they had what did they have this year? They got Nightmare Alley, which I watched on there, and then they have Spencer, and they got Flea, which is that animated movie that got nominated. So yeah, they've got some good stuff. But like I said, I'm usually mostly for the DVR. And they also have obviously TV. If you're I'm not a huge TV guy. My wife is. She watches a lot of. They have a ton of TV shows on there. She watches a lot of TV shows on there. The big one for me is Always Sunny. I've been rewatching through Always Sunny in Philadelphia lately because they just started a podcast. So they're watching through every episode and talking about it on every episode of the podcast. So I've been watching that through with them, which has been really nice and handy to just pop on while I'm working or whatever. So yeah, Hulu is good for me in my purposes. And I don't like the UI. I'll say some negatives real quick. I don't like that everything is based on an algorithm. Like, just give me the categories and the genres. I don't need you to like say this is what we think you will like, and these are movies we think you'll like. Like that's how it's all like set up like that. I mean, you can go to TVs and movies at the top, but a lot of it is just based on algorithms, which I don't like because I'm a very like I don't know. I want to say well-rounded. That makes me sound like I'm bragging, but like I like a lot of different things, and I don't think you can really calculate what I like. And it's a lot of the times stuff that's based on what you like just because I like, I don't know, Logan doesn't mean I want to watch like Ghost Rider and Fantastic Four, like I don't think they really work. I don't even like
and a lot of them have that. I think the bigger issue is just like where the placement is, where it's like if it's always in my face and that's not what I'm interested in, and I'd rather, I mean, honestly, I sometimes find the A to Z to be the most useful thing there is.
Yes. I think streaming services are geared more towards casual movie fans who are just like, you like this, maybe you'll like this, and then you scroll through, oh, that sounds interesting, let's just try that for tonight. But people who like know what we want to watch and we know what we're looking for, I just want A to Z. I just want genres. I just want to, like, what am I in the mood for? Let me pick that.
And sometimes I do like to kind of be surprised by a thing and go, oh, that looks interesting. But I'm real old-fashioned, I guess. I'm turning into an old person, and I want my streaming experience on the rare occasion where I sit down and go, I just want to watch a movie tonight. I actually did this the other day, where we were supposed to have a show last Friday, and I was having weird internet issues where Google and YouTube weren't working, but everything else was. I mentioned this the other day on another show, but it turned out to be some bizarre issue with my provider, and everybody in the area, DJ, had the same problem where only Google things weren't working, but it wasn't on Google's end. It was very strange. So I was able to do other internet things, but I couldn't stream. So I was like, well, I was supposed to work tonight. Now I've got a night off. What am I going to do? And I was like, I haven't just sat down and watched a movie for no good reason in a while. So I went to HBO Max and I watched a movie, and it was a new Schwarzenegger thing that was fine. What was that movie called? It was about an air traffic controller who accidentally crashes two planes and gets Schwarzenegger's family killed.
Jeez.
And it was real talky and surprisingly dramatic role for Schwarzenegger, and he's pretty good in it. But the script is not great, and it felt like kind of like a 21-year-old kid in college, like a first draft script that somebody needs to touch up a little bit. But
yeah,
it got real melodramatic at the end. But anyway, so I was surfing through HBO Max, and I don't want Max to tell me, I think you're going to like this movie based on other things you've looked at. I just want to look at covers and synopses. I want that experience to be as much like walking into a video rental place as possible.
Absolutely, yeah. That's why I like the genre thing, because those used to be split up by genre, and you can walk down and see all those. But yeah, I'm on Hulu right now, and it's like the first three things are movies for you, TV for you. Because you watched this, we think you'll like this. Like it's all like that. And I don't know. I kind of like Hulu has some interesting stuff with their UI where they'll have like taller cards and stuff that stands out. Like right here they have Hulu Picks, and it's got Batman Returns and Batman 89 and like these taller cards with like some nice artwork and stuff, which is cool. But yeah, other than that, it's just kind of
and usually their picks are gonna just be things they've recently
acquired,
gotten by contract. Like the Batman movies are constantly making their rounds.
Hot commodities, those Batman movies. People like the Batman.
They're basically. It's so weird though that like Max is gonna get the Batman in a few weeks. And immediately when the new Batman movie comes out, the main service that has all the DC superhero stuff loses all the Batman movies, or at least the old Burton and Schumacher ones. How many times, DJ, have you on, like, because Netflix does it too, have you on Netflix or Hulu or something, seen, like, because Netflix does it by percentage, they'll be like, 87% match, 95% match. Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, yeah. Netflix does
Based
do
on
that.
things that you've seen before. How many times have you seen that with a movie or a TV show that you have sampled and hated, and you're like, nope,
Yeah, well, I never
you
do
are
like
incorrect, sir.
I never do the thumbs up and thumbs down thing, so I don't even know what it's basing it on. I guess just stuff that I finished.
No,
It
I
just
think
assumes
it's just based on things you've actually watched for X amount of time. I don't thumbs up and thumbs down either, so I don't think it has anything to do with that.
Well, I think if I did do that, it would improve their
Oh,
formula a
okay.
little bit.
That's fair. Maybe it's partly my fault. I'm being lazy and not helping them out. You know, it's like I'm not leaving eBay users feedback.
Yeah, I need to do that too. I've got so many.
I'm not good about that.
Bad about
I've
that.
made people angry.
It takes 2 seconds too. We're really terrible people.
We are,
For
honestly.
not helping out their business. Some of those people do it for business.
How long does it take to write A++? I mean, seriously, it's not hard.
Now I just want to listen to that song.
Yeah, exactly. Well, see, it's funny you say that because I was selling on eBay when that came out. My dad and I worked together on eBay real early, like a year after it started.
Oh,
And
cool. Dude, that was your jam. Did you just listen to it while you were listing things all day?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy to have an eBay song, you know, in like 2001 while I'm or 2 or whatever that came out. Poodle Hat. I think that was 02. I digress. So I have numbers for Hulu, even though it didn't make my list. Hulu also got a 16. It was actually a 4-way tie, which suggests that my system was nonsense. But I'll mention what I wrote for this. So overall selection for Hulu, I only gave a 3. I tend to go to that service for really specific things that I don't even realize are there. So like I'm not frequenting Hulu that much. It'll just be I'll look up a thing like I need to stream this right now. Oh, Hulu's got it. Okay. So like the only reason I keep that account, Hulu would be the easiest thing for me to drop right now of all of them I have, I think. And the only reason I hang on to it is because on a more than a monthly basis, I find myself going, oh, that's where that is. I guess I'll watch it there. So that's why I'm using it. So like Hulu got the animated Tick series. It's so cool that that's actually streaming somewhere now. And that's the only place that's got Smallville right now and things like that. So anyway, I'm not really watching anything, I don't think, original there right now. And the Marvel stuff that they've made has been nonsense. I mean, I haven't tried Hitmonkey. I don't care. No one's talking about that. Isn't that weird? That you'll have like these animated Marvel things that Hulu makes a big deal out of, but nobody seems to know they even exist. That MODOK show, I watched the pilot of that and I want to throw up. It's really bad. I did not.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
some of that
amazing.
subjective humor stuff, but like, man, I don't mind Patton Oswalt, but he shouldn't write things.
Yeah, well, it's amazing that Disney Plus has been able to pull off like that. They got anyone to watch What If, because it seems like if it's animated, people don't care like at all. Like, I mean, obviously MODOK and Hitmonkey are kind of off the beaten path things anyway, so
Yeah,
that's,
I mean,
that's a smaller audience.
Things that are that relatively obscure can get TV shows now, but I'm one of the few people that would care. I wish they were more aimed at me, I guess, you know? Like, cause
yeah,
just,
well, I want to see MODOK in a Marvel thing before I want to see a show about him, especially like some robot chicken looking.
It's too robot chicken. That's exactly right. Yeah. Anyway, so overall selection I gave a 3. Originals I gave a 3. Video player I gave a 3. Price was a 3. I don't love their tier system. I have that with a couple of these services where the no ad thing, I appreciate, and they've lowered the prices, so that's cool. But it's nice that the services that have ads give you a higher priced option so that you don't have to have ads. But I fundamentally don't think that if you're paying for a service, there should be ads in the first place. So I still don't like the model. I don't know if you agree with that, but
I'm of 2 minds about it. For something like HBO Max, which we might talk about later, they had the model, they had the price. This is our price. This is what HBO is already. We can't go lower than this. This is our price. And then they made a lower price with it.
By contractual obligation, for a while, they weren't allowed to go any lower than it at all. Yeah.
So if they go lower for ads, that's fine. If they raise the price and make you pay more for no ads, that's what really annoys me. Like if it starts at a price and then I'm paying for this and then you raise my price or give me ads, that's what drives me.
Can you watch Max with ads? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they lowered it. There's a $9.99 for knowing. Which
Oh,
I
you
think
know
is cool.
what? I did know that. I forgot all about it because I don't do that, and I'm not gonna do that. Like I
Yeah,
don't.
I'm not either. I think 15 is fine for that service. But yeah,
And I
Hulu
wouldn't
is
say that about not to get too ahead of ourselves, I wouldn't say that about very many services, because there's another one on this list that is 15, and I think that's preposterous at this point. We'll talk about that.
yeah. And one more thing about Hulu's ads is, and it's not their fault. They could do a better job of communicating it, I think. But something, even if you pay for the no ads, because of the way stuff comes into their service, that's like TV contracts that come like next day, TV shows that come like next day, you there's still ads on some stuff. Even if you have no ads, some stuff just has to have ads because of how it comes in, and it's really annoying because you can't tell until you watch it. Like, oh, now I'm watching ads. Like the reality shows that my wife watches, they'll still have ads because you're watching and live. I'm not even talking about live stuff. Some stuff that comes to like next day still has ads, but there's nothing that can be helped about that. It's just contracts, but it's kind of annoying.
Well, should I go to my number 4 real quick?
Yeah, what's your number 4?
Okay, my number 4, and I just alluded to this, but I'm actually a little surprised it's even this high at this point. My number 4 is Netflix. I am finding myself using that service still more than I would think I would, with all the stuff they've taken off of it that were the main reasons I had that service. And yet, there are a couple of categories that I think Netflix is still kind of dominating in, if it's your thing. Netflix is still pretty great for documentaries by and large, particularly crime things and like real crime TV shows and movies and that kind of stuff. And I wish they would keep more of their documentaries longer because they tend to kind of cycle through a lot. But I watch it a lot for nonfiction stuff, actually. And then as I've been getting a little bit more into anime for the channel, it seems like their anime offerings are pretty good. Somebody said Prime has a good anime selection as well, and I haven't looked at that real close. And of course, Max has all the Ghibli stuff. So anime is pretty spread out, but Netflix seems to be an okay place for that. But like I said, different categories, right? So at this point, Netflix is not anything like as great for their overall selection as they used to be, and especially for their originals. I meant to mention for a minute, by the way, that Hulu is all of a sudden going to have to jump up in my book a little bit because they're about to get the Orville, and that just immediately throws it over the top, because
That breaks the 4-way tie.
because that's the best show on television. Certainly it's one of them. It's way up there. Anyway, but Netflix also has a really reliable player compared to some other services, and even services that I put over it. It has a better player then. But then, if you have a better selection and there's more things I want to watch with you, you still can end up getting a higher number than if your player works and the whole thing functions. And it's got a little bit of a better interface still than some other things, I think. Price, I scored the lowest on Netflix than anything except for one other service, and we'll get to that after a little bit. But I put, out of 5, I gave the price for Netflix right now a score of 2. They have done a preposterous thing. I don't know if you even know about it. Are you even subscribed to Netflix anymore?
We just use my wife's parents' Netflix.
Oh, okay. So you would know.
So I have no idea what's going on with Netflix. Netflix, I'll talk about it when you're done with this, but it's like the bottom of the list for me. I never ever use Netflix, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, some of it is still, there's some kids content that my kids watch.
Yeah.
Real quick, the main things I used to watch Netflix for all the time were Power Rangers and Star Trek, and they don't have much of either now, and they're about to lose TNG. So I'm forced to pay for Paramount Plus, which is the worst thing on the planet. Not just the worst streaming service, but the worst thing on the planet. And hyperbolic? Yes. Amusing? I hope so, because I'm not going to stop. The thing with... one of the things that I hate most about Paramount Plus is the...
I love that Paramount Plus is getting a cameo in every place.
It is the better selection that I wish it had, because I don't want to give it money. But I'm forced to, because there's things that I need to be able to stream that I can only get there now. And they, I think, are entitled, where it's like, well, you're gonna pay for this. We know you're going to. So it doesn't even matter if it works. And I really miss Star Trek because like my wife and I are streaming Star Trek all the time, and I can't even always be sure that when I turn that on, it's not gonna be 5 or 10 minutes before the thing starts working properly, if it ever does at all. And Netflix, I never had that problem with. And by the way, sometimes the issue, I think, is the Fire Stick. It's like the longer I've had that, the more issues I've had with it. And so there could be a few like issues with the hardware itself before the particular services. However, still, I don't hardly ever have any problems with playback with Netflix on the Fire Stick. But I do with other things.
Yeah, so we're a big Fire Stick family. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 4K Fire Sticks, and then we have 2 Fire Stick TVs where the TV is just a Amazon Fire TV, like it's built in. You don't need a stick.
Yeah.
And I don't ever usually have problems with it, but they are pretty new, so that could be what it is.
It seems like it has that cell phone problem where you'll start to experience slowdown and lag and buffering and stuff. If it is my experience anyway, if you have too much in the storage. I think there's like a certain amount of storage you probably have to make sure and keep free, because it only has like, or at least the ones I've got only have like 5 or 6 gigs worth. But I have like 1.5 to 2 open, and I'm still having issues with it. And I've deleted every service I can get rid of, or like every app I can get rid of off of it, and there's still, I don't know what's accounting for the 4 gigs right now, like 3.5, 4 gigs right now. All of it. So like I'm about to just reset the freaking thing back to factory. But the point I'm making is, even with issues I'm having with other services, Netflix still almost always works fine.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be the one that's like, well, it's weird that it's Amazon, but like that's the thing, is like Netflix is like you said this with Paramount Plus. I feel like Netflix is this way also. They're just like, well, you're going to have Netflix. Anyone who has a streaming service is going to have Netflix. So like our Netflix originals don't have to be up to any kind of quality. We can just pump out as much as possible because we're the streaming service. We're like the Kleenex or the Xerox of streaming services. Netflix is just a verb at this point.
They're entitled in different ways, I think, or to some degree. But they both have that attitude, you're right, of just like sneeze out, because you said Kleenex, so I'll use that metaphor. Sneeze out like as much content, no matter how nonsensical it is, so that you can scream originals all day long. And what is the point of doing that when you can take a show that has existed for 30 years and still use the word original on it? Hulu's doing that with The Tick. With the animated Tick, it says Hulu Original. What are you talking about? That's a show from 1995.
Well, if you haven't seen it, it's original to you.
Exactly. I don't understand that. Okay, so speaking of entitled, let's talk about the price thing with Netflix, which is where all this started. I went to Netflix the other day and got an alert that was like, hey, we're jacking up the prices, folks.
Again.
They might as well have had an exclamation point like it's
now?
a good thing. We're jacking up the prices again. Here's what you can do. You're going to have to pay $15 now for what you currently have. Just basic normal person Netflix, high def 1080p. What they've said now is you can go to a lower tier if you don't mind watching everything at 480. That gets you a 2.
This is 2022.
Out of 5. Who the hell? And what's great about it too is they go high def, great quality, $15. Good quality. Like, don't worry, it's still in this day and age. Are we calling 480 good? Like,
no.
They're like standard def. If it was
Disney Plus, HBO Max are having 4K stuff.
I would still be laughing at it. But if it was a difference between 720 and 1080, maybe. But like
480.
Can you believe though that that's how they're tiering it now? How desperate does that look? They're like, we're hemorrhaging money. Because we know that like their stocks plummeted, and I haven't looked into this in a while, but I know a couple months ago it seemed like they were in kind of dire straits, and I imagine that they're struggling to hang on to market share and stuff, and this is their solution, is like, we'll jack up prices, but we'll have different tiers so that it doesn't look as bad. And like, you might as well, because they said years ago, we'll never do commercials. Yeah, sorry, Netflix, you have to at this point. And I don't like the commercial thing. I don't mean to be a hypocrite, but like, I don't know how they survive without advertising. That's the thing, is that some of these services I don't think have to have advertising to survive. I don't think Max needs it. I don't know, Prime probably does, but it gives me something else to complain about with Prime. So I'm still going to complain about that. But I don't know, like, I don't know how Netflix, and people have said this for years, like, Netflix at some point will have to do advertising. I think they'll stick to their guns, and I think they will, they will cry all the way to the courthouse filing Chapter 11 while not putting commercials on their service. I think it's ultimately what's going to happen. Because at some point they're going to have like a $5 version that's like a couple of yahoos in a basement doing a puppet show based on the episode of a show that you really want to watch. Like that's what you get for $5.
You just get a couple of YouTubers talking about your show. You get the recaps on YouTube. But no,
get us.
Yeah, we're worse than 480. We're not. We're like the $5.99 pack.
Oh no, we really are. I need new webcams.
Man, yeah. So yeah, Netflix is nowhere near my list. Netflix is the I can't even remember the last time I turned on Netflix. It doesn't have any stuff that I want. Like, it lost all the TV shows that I used to watch. And I just hate the experience. Like, obviously the player's fine. They have a good player. I hate that.
That's really the main thing that kept them on my list. I think is just, they have a functioning player. It works. How does it feel like they have like a proprietary player? Nobody else is allowed to have a good player.
No, well, they started it, man. They started it all. But yeah, I can't stand the automatic, like, that it defaults to skipping the intro. I hate that I hate that it plays immediately. Like, the credits will start to play and it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, poof, and it starts playing the next episode, and I'm like, I wanted to hear the end of that. Some shows have an ending track that has to do with the show, and it's funny in a comedy, or like you're in a good mood, or like you're
we
in
had
the
that
zone.
problem with Power Rangers. Remember we were trying to watch the
bloopers.
Bloopers at the
How do you not do it when there's bloopers at the end? Like, it's so annoying. And then I hate the way stuff is divided up. Like, we were talking about this with the other ones. Netflix, I think, is the worst. Like, it'll say like, quirky buddy cop comedy starring farm animals. Like, they're the most obscure like topics, and it's like, just put sci-fi. Like, I don't need all this. I don't need you to like show me how cool you are because you can think of all these movies that are in this obscure category. Like, that drives me
I love it when
nuts.
they do that, and there's only 5 possible things on the planet that they could ever possibly put in that list.
Yeah, and then they'll put stuff in there that doesn't even really fit. Like, it's like, yeah, I've seen stuff in like family movies. I'm like, what? Or like, it's just put the genres, man.
Movies released on a president's birthday.
Yeah.
In black and white.
So that stuff just the experience of using Netflix. I always have a bad experience when I'm using it, and I have no reason to go there anymore. There's nothing on there. I just watched The Power of the Dog, which is a movie from last year that's nominated for Best
I know
Picture.
you gave up on Cobra Kai. I'm still watching that show, but that didn't even start on Netflix. That was a YouTube thing initially.
Well, because they acquire everything.
Yeah.
They're like the new Movie Pass. They're really trying to hang on.
They like the word original too.
Yeah, well, they started. They're called Netflix films now. Like, they're movies. Like, I just watched Power of the Dog.
Yeah.
It's called Netflix film. It's not called, because they're trying to get that like prestige. Like, they're trying to, because they've had a couple Best Picture noms at this point, and they've been putting them in theaters and stuff. So
I'll also say, whatever people they've been hiring to do their subtitles need to all be fired, because they have and Paramount Plus is much worse about crappy subtitles that are
getting those jabs in anywhere you can.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one of the things that drives me crazy about that.
That's
about
a big reason why we did this whole thing, so you could crap on.
They're really bad. Netflix is also pretty bad about it with inaccurate subtitles.
One more big complaint from Netflix, or not a big complaint, but it's something that drives me nuts, is, did you know this? They will customize the artwork, the poster, based on what they think will make you click on it based on your tastes. Have you noticed this? So, like, they'll have like a picture.
You're talking about Netflix?
Netflix, yes. They have they do this all the time, and they'll put like, so because my wife watches Netflix most of the time, and she watches stuff based on, I guess, her demographic. The movie Tick, Tick, Boom, which is my favorite movie last year. I absolutely loved it. Andrew Garfield is not on the cover. They have Vanessa Hudgens on the cover of that poster because they think that's what she will click on based on her interests.
That's weird.
They completely custom. They don't use the posters. They use an image that they think they're like very creepy.
I was gonna say at some point it starts to feel a little bit too personal, right?
Yeah.
Where it's almost like I don't want to feel like you know me this well. That's a turnoff. I want to feel in control of my own experience to some degree, and the whole internet is like this now. To be fair.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where it's like you're not in control of anything. Like the algorithms are always sending you in different directions. And like try as you might, you don't know how you're being influenced by the way you're being sold things. And you can go, I'm going to be master of my own destiny with this Google search. Yeah, no, you're not.
No, but it's just like false advertising on Netflix. Like Vanessa Hudgens is like a tiny role in that movie. And if someone clicked on it for her, that would be disappointed. They don't care if you're disappointed. They just want your clicks.
I'm sorry, I'm running off on the beaten path, but I got to mention this. I get excited sometimes when I do a search because I'm vain. I'm so vain. I think this video is probably about me, and I will do sometimes a YouTube search for a topic. And I'll be really excited if one of my videos shows up in the first few. Like I'm not looking for me, but I'm just like, I'll look up like, I don't know, like Heroes of the Grid or something, and I've done videos on that, and I'm like 5th or 6th, and I'm like, yeah, look at that. Like if people search that out, they're gonna find my video. And then I go, well, now wait a minute, is that because I'm signed in?
It's because is
that why?
Showing you stuff. That's how YouTube is. Like I'm like, why is this video coming? Oh, it's because it's me, and it's showing me videos that I'm likely to click on or have watched a million times.
Super Billy says, going back to something I said earlier, Hulu could probably justify calling it a Hulu original if they plan on producing new animated Tick episodes. Yeah, they could, but it's pretty clear that's not the case, and it's been there for a year or two, and it's at least a year, I think, and it's been called that, and I haven't heard any news about that, so it's weird. And also, side note, I don't want that unless it's the exact same team of people, and even then I'll be kind of leery about it. I would have loved a season 4 back in the day. I don't know that I want it 25 years later.
No.
But that's just me. Anyway, well, do you want to move on to number 3, or do you have more?
No.
Do you have more things to complain about my number 4, a service that actually made the list?
No. I got all my Netflix hate out.
I agree with you on all that, by the way. I think the UI irritates you more than it does me, but I had forgotten about some of the things you were complaining about, where I was like, yeah, that's true. Something else that's frustrating, because you were talking about when they'll give you all the rows of really silly categories they make up.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can't find your recent watches because of that.
Yes.
It won't be at the top. Why is that?
It's everywhere. I hate. Yeah, that bothers me. I've had that before. Or I'm like, we just started a show yesterday. Let's finish it on lunch break, and I'm like half my lunch break scrolling through to find the stupid thing. I have to go to the search.
It's so annoying when you have to search it out now, and you've already watched it and it should be there. Now there are other services where it's even more annoying, like Paramount Plus.
Wait, what? I haven't heard of that one. What is that?
Which will do a thing where, and again, maybe it happens just on Fire Stick. I haven't watched Paramount Plus all that much on my desktop, but I have. I've done that some, and I think to be fair, it has fewer issues, but this cannot just be a Fire Stick thing because it's so much worse with Paramount Plus than anything else. You will turn on the service, and it will just start playing whatever the last thing was you were watching.
What?
Without
I've never
even
heard
going to the name a problem and that service has it.
That's another Netflix thing I need to complain about is how when you just click on it to read the synopsis, it just starts playing. Yeah. It just starts playing, and I know they're counting those as click-throughs. Like, I don't want it to play. I just wanted to read what this is about. Like, stop! It's so annoying. It just starts playing. And you made me think of another thing. They have like top 10 on Netflix today or whatever. Like, and it's like 9 of them are Netflix things. I'm like, what? I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
I don't believe you.
And why does it matter? Like, I don't care what it's like that peer pressure thing. Like, this is what's hot. Everyone's watching this. You got to watch this. And it's like, just let me watch.
That
what I
doesn't
wanna
work
watch.
in this day and age anyway, when things are so splintered and we're all looking at different things that aren't really those cultural touchstones. Like, every now and again, you'll have, like, a Tiger King, but for the most part, I don't even think it works anymore.
It's very weird. Tons of Netflix decisions tick me off. And I'm getting heated again. So let's move on to my number 3.
All right, what's your number 3?
Well, my number 3, here it is, folks. I know some people are going to be upset about this. My number 3 is Disney Plus.
Yeah.
That's where it wound up for me.
The main attraction for Disney Plus obviously is offerings, especially like old library of movies, and
Yes.
they were the biggest compliment I can give Disney, besides their price. I mean, they get a 5 for me on price. They're so inexpensive compared to most other services with how much they give you, and I'm with you. $15 is reasonable for the mighty nice selection that you get with HBO Max, but oh boy, Disney can't help but just eat their lunch with that, because they have such a decently sized library, and again, they're not constantly cycling things in and out. So I mean, that is the main thing that makes Disney Plus worth it to me. Is you can be pretty sure Aladdin will stay there. I mean, it's really nice, especially because I think if if they had started shortly after Netflix, I don't think I would still have this novelty with them. But they have this giant library of stuff that was never available for streaming for years and years and years, and now it's all there and has stayed. And the novelty of that is not worn off on me yet.
No, they really lucked out. They had like this kind of like supply and demand thing that they built for years. It's like they were planning this for years. Like, they had the vault for such a long time, so that now they can be like, we're opening the vault, and the vault is no more. And like, but of course they couldn't have planned that. But it's just a different strategy now. Completely
Obviously,
different
the
strategy.
big negative that may or may not be worth it, depending on who you ask, is now a lot of things you're not going to be able to get on video, especially new
Physical
original
media
stuff that they put there, because they want you to pay them monthly until the end of time.
Yeah, it's a lot of things. It's like $5.99 still, I think. It's cheap, so you don't really think about it. It just kind of goes on your monthly thing and just keeps going. And then they've always got new original content that they're pumping out. It's definitely the one that you can just kind of keep, especially if you have kids. That's the one that you're just going to kind of have forever. That's a big thing for me. I'll just run down some of my notes here. I like that they have.
Real quick, this one is higher for me than it is yours,
Okay,
but we can talk about it now. That's totally cool if you want to.
Well, I can hold off and we can talk about it together. I think we've had a good rhythm going back and forth. I don't know if I want to just like talk for a minute. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is one that you won't have because of how you're watching live TV. Mine is YouTube TV, and
yeah, you mentioned that.
And I kind of wanted to put it even higher. It almost went to number 2 for me, and the one big thing holding it back, again, a lot of it's my math. My really brilliant, wonderful. I'm such a math guy.
I'm so jealous of it. Wish I had thought of it.
The price holds it back. Those are the big factors fighting back and forth between Disney Plus and YouTube TV, and they're different things. Mm-hmm. But I'll just say Disney's my number 2.
Okay, cool.
They are different things. One is about live TV. Are you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Suddenly, I unplugged something with my foot or something.
Oh no!
And my camera's frozen. Give me a second. Okay. It looks like we're still streaming, and that's going okay. But I need to try to fix my camera. I don't know if I can. Hold on.
Interesting. Yeah, this camera over here is fine. But yeah, that's.
Sorry about that, folks. I hate it when that happens. I might just be frozen the rest of this stream, guys.
You just got so excited about YouTube TV that you kicked the...
That's unfortunate. I don't know if there's a way inside of OBS to, like, reset a camera. I've always just had to...
Yeah, you could drop it and add it again.
Would that, like, reset the actual camera, though, is the question. Like, sorry, guys, give me just a second here. That was weird. Yeah, it still got me frozen.
Weird. They can hear us both, so that's good.
Yeah, so that's good. Well, you're just gonna see me frozen the rest of this, I guess. I'd have to start another stream, I think. It's gonna be really awkward.
It's gonna be a first, for sure.
But most people are just listening to this anyway, I'm sure. So
yeah, keep washing your dishes or walking your dog, and we'll still be here. You don't have to.
Lawn. So anyway, like I said, YouTube TV and Disney Plus are obviously weird things to compare. But the reason that YouTube TV had to be on this list in the first place is because right now I'm using it more than anything else, and I go back and forth on how long I'm going to keep it because it is so expensive. It's the same thing with Hulu nearly. With tax, it's like $70 a month. Mm-hmm. I think the initial price is like $65. It does have unlimited DVR, which is one of the big selling points because you can just pick a show and it will tape it. I'm old school. It will DVR it for you. Although it's weird that we still say DVR because that was like about putting. Did that start like putting a thing on a disc?
I think it just means digital video recording.
Okay. Well, fair enough. I guess that still counts. I guess
it's
still digital. Okay, fine. Whatever. Anyway, so you can still so if you pick a show, and I do this with basketball games and stuff too.
Yeah.
I can have it record every single NCAA basketball game for a season and just pick the ones I want to watch. That's spectacular. But what's nice about it, too, is you think about it like you just record a brand new show every time it comes out, but that's actually not how it works. If you pick, like I've been watching Shark Tank a lot lately, and if you just pick a show, if it comes up in reruns, it'll also record all the reruns. So you could have an entire season and then seasons and series eventually once they've run them all, especially with a show like Shark Tank that runs like 2 or 3 hours every night. You can end up with like the whole show eventually. That's really nice.
Yeah, I did that, like I said, with Hulu, and I would do that with like the new Scooby-Doo show that came out, that the Guess Who one, and you can do either new or reruns. But yeah, the thing is, I have to stay on top of my DVR because I have to keep clearing stuff out, which you don't have because Hulu or YouTube is unlimited, which is really cool.
It also records a fair amount of or like already has available a fair amount of on-demand content for things that it will just, for whatever reason, give you after it drops, and then it'll have it for a certain number of weeks or months. And like I've watched whole seasons or half seasons of game shows and things that way. You don't even always have to set it to record everything. So it was this high on my list partly because of selection, even of on-demand stuff. Like it fights some of the other services, not just for live TV, but even for on-demand.
Yeah. Well, and I'm assuming
in some ways it's kind of the new Hulu, because Hulu used to be the place you'd go to watch new shows right after they came out, and that's what YouTube TV is for now, except it just costs a lot more.
And so I'm assuming that you get like YouTube Premium if you have YouTube TV, or is that totally separate?
I don't think so. I think you have to. I mean,
they could throw that in for $70. Jeez.
They could. They are. They separate them as like totally different websites.
Well, it makes sense. It's not the YouTube Premium is not really a streaming service, but
that's what I'm saying is like I'm actually kind of not surprised that they do it that way, because YouTube Premium is part of YouTube, and YouTube TV is like a separate thing. But it gets high marks for me on the player too, because YouTube is a great player, and it's all using that player.
That's really cool to be
So
watching
that's also
TV
a 5.
with like the YouTube player. That's really cool. Yeah, I haven't tried that one. I've been on Hulu for a couple of years now, but no, that sounds really good.
If you ever think about losing Hulu and seeing what else is out there, I would give that a shot, because it's the same price you're paying right now, and I think it's a better service, especially because of the unlimited. Like, if you're DVRing it all, you never have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Part of it is that Hulu is including the Disney Plus bundle right now, which is really nice. But yeah, that was definitely one of the reasons I thought about making me switch, was the unlimited DVR.
Well, and I got in the whole early bird thing with Disney Plus when it first started, where you could pay a really cheap one, like, lump sum for 3 years. So I won't have to think about paying for Disney for another, like, year and a half, 2 years.
Okay, nice.
So that's why I'm not with a package thing at all with them.
Yeah. So, okay.
At the moment.
I'm thinking about how we should handle this. It's kind of dependent on what I guess I know what your number 1 is, because you just said which number 2 is.
Can I complain about something with that real quick?
Sure.
Really the only thing I don't like about YouTube TV is that it is kind of difficult to navigate sometimes what you've recorded. Like, it's not really easy to find recording sometimes. I don't know why that is.
Weird.
It's much, because there's a tab for it, but it doesn't seem to. Maybe I'm not looking at it right. I don't know, but like, it's not really easy to navigate. I find it much easier to just go to the search bar and search out something that you want to watch, and then it'll show all the recordings if you've recorded it. That's kind of the easiest way to do it, but I don't think you should have to do it that way. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's
luckily the search feature is really good. Unlike Paramount Plus.
So we should just get into your number 1 Paramount Plus. No, so this is, how do I do this?
I'll talk about Paramount Plus all night long, sir.
So my number 3 was Disney Plus. That's your number 2. Should we go ahead and talk about that now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because I don't want to get into my number 2, because I know that's a different part of your list. All right, so Disney Plus.
Sorry, I gotta say one more thing about that, because I don't know that people know a lot about YouTube TV, and it's great. But
yeah.
It's a really good replacement for cable, and don't make the mistake I did of trying Sling TV first. Like, I used to be on YouTube TV a couple years ago, and I just didn't want to pay that much for it, so I tried Sling for a while, and Sling basically gives you, have you ever used it? It's nonsense. It gives you basically one half of channels, or the other half of channels.
Yeah,
they
divide it up.
An absorbent amount for both, and then at that point go to YouTube. Now, I do think that if you pay,
I'm gonna do your pantomimes, because since they can't see them, I'm gonna do what Cap's doing. He's vehemently thrusting.
I am. If you pay for their premium, like, get everything service, if memory serves, I think you maybe do get unlimited DVR. That is one thing I'll give them. I think, but I'm not sure if I remember that right. But there's like an orange thing and a blue thing, and like one is more for sports and one is more for other news or whatever. But I got Sling to watch basketball, and it's really unlimited how much you can record, which is irritating, because I'm just not always around when the games are on, so sometimes I have to watch them later, which is why I like to do that. And it was like you'd have to manually go through every game and record the ones you wanted to record. It took forever. It was a nightmare. And I would I forgot what else I was gonna say about that. But I know what it was. It also didn't give you all of sports. If you have YouTube TV, you get all the ESPNs, including ESPNU, and you didn't have that with the sports package, with Sling, and a weird number of, and I know nobody else is going to care about this, but a weird number of NCAA games were on that channel. So I'm already paying, like, whatever it was, like $45 a month for Sling, and I'm not even getting half the games I need to watch. So that was weird. And then I also, by the way, as just an aside, I hate the whole ESPN Plus thing. It's a sham. It's an absolute scam. and sham. It's both.
Oh, it's a sham scam.
Because what they do is they go, so here's all these sports that you can watch, and a lot of it is stuff that like nobody bothers to watch televised. Like if you, or at least a lot of people, if you really want to watch like a lot of tennis and like bowling and stuff,
oh, I'm there for bowling.
It's on ESPN Plus. What they'll do is it's like they don't do anything for the NBA, and then for college basketball, and I think college football maybe has this. I don't know because I don't follow football, but when you get into the season, they will strategically have games that are exclusive to the $5 ESPN or $6, whatever it is now, ESPN Plus streaming service, to try to force people to get that service. That's obnoxious. Because it's not like it's roped in if you're paying for ESPN on cable. Because a lot of people thought that's what it was, where it's like I had an argument with my mom once, where she was like, no, I pay for cable, so I don't need to get that. I'm like, no, you're gonna have to if you want to watch this KU game. And the KU game came up, and she's like, why can't I watch it? And I'm like, because the cable subscription doesn't let you watch ESPN Plus. And she's like, that's nuts. And I'm like, yes, it is. That's what I was saying, Mom.
World we live in. Oh man, we could do a whole video about cable cutting.
Thomas Slow says this is the Wasting Time channel. Look, we're on topic. We're talking about streaming services.
Get out of here with that. We're talking about very relevant information.
It is. It's wasting your time, Volution. But I've learned that some people really enjoy that. So, it's a niche. It's a niche crowd, really. But
more random tangents than we have some points we're trying to make. We just get off in rabbit trails.
We have a few points. Well, look, I wanted to talk about a couple of the other services and why they didn't make my list, and that's why ESPN Plus doesn't make my list. Okay, moving right along. So, are we to? I guess we're to your number 2, yeah?
Well, we were going to talk about
Disney Plus. Disney
Yeah.
Plus. Okay, go ahead.
Disney Plus. We've talked about it. It's great for kids and the original content. I really like the way stuff is laid out. I like that they have all the hubs right at the top. HBO Max, you have to go into the side nav to pull that up, and it's a little annoying sometimes. But they got Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic right there at the top. And they have the really cool animation when you hover over them. I don't know if you've noticed that, but they all have an animation when you hover over them. And you pull it up, and it has all the content. I like that.
It's definitely the sleekest of the
yeah, it's very, very well developed. That's what I do, is I design interfaces, so I appreciate all that stuff. It's beautiful. And we just talked about this with Netflix. The new to Disney Plus, like the newly added and the continue watching, are always right there at the top underneath those. They don't move around like sometimes for Netflix, and they're not hidden away. Like in HBO Max, the new stuff, the new arrivals is like hidden away in the side nav. I like that those are all.
But those
right
are the two things that people most of the time are going to want to see when they first open up a service, especially if they haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, so I like that those two are there. I like that. Obviously, they have a lot of originals. I like that they're dabbling with kind of bonus features. They're doing these really cool things called Assembled that are like the making of. I saw the making of Hawkeye one. It's like an hour-long featurette, like documentary about the making of Hawkeye, which I haven't watched yet, but it's really cool. And they've been doing those. I think there's one for Eternals, maybe not, but that's like an original. I guess you call that an original programming thing they're doing.
I think they did. Maybe they've done one of those for most of, if not all of their live-action Marvel shows, because I want to say Falcon Winter Soldier had one. Yeah,
probably, because I don't think they would start with Hawkeye. Even though I enjoy that show a lot.
It is really nice that they have that. Now, you know what I'm going to say. I wish they'd do commentaries.
Yes. Their bonus features can still go way up.
Now that they have the Netflix shows, I also hope that retroactively they consider maybe doing some features. Even if it was just bring in the showrunners and some of the actors and just put a camera on them and sit down and interview
interviews.
That would be great.
Interview featurettes. That'd be awesome. Like, it's already been what? How many years ago now? Almost coming on 10?
8?
Yeah. If they did a 10-year reunion for that stuff, that'd be great.
When does Daredevil start? 15, 16?
I don't even
there.
remember.
Yeah. It's not as early as 14. I think it's 15 or 16.
Okay. So yeah, it's coming up. Something else that I'll talk about later with my 1 and 2, but the Disney does an okay job with collections. They're kind of hard to find sometimes, and they're kind of mixed in and jumbled up, but I like that they have collections, like not just Pixar and Marvel, but you can get like the MCU. It'll have like a playlist of all the MCU, or like a specific character. Like when Hawkeye was coming out, they had like all the movies Hawkeye's in, and stuff like that. There's like a Winnie the Pooh one, or like all the Herbie movies, just like little collections like that. Like I'm a big playlist guy, so I think those are fun, especially if you're doing like a marathon or something. Those are useful to just play all the way through.
This is the thing I meant to say earlier. No, that is nice, and I think you're right. I think they're the best at that. None of these services have what I've wanted for years and years. Maybe we've talked about this on another video. I want custom playlists. I want Spotify for video. Why can't I have that? The closest anybody's come, and I don't know that this would have knocked it up a point or anything if I'd thought of it, but the closest thing anybody's done is Netflix has a feature now where that's called Watch Something, where you can just press a button and like some random thing will come up. That's getting us closer. Yeah. I think it's kind of fun that they have that. I haven't really played with it much, but like I would love a random feature. I mean I like the random feature, but I don't know that like shuffling inside of a TV show makes all that much sense unless it's a real episodic thing in the first place, where you can just watch something like it's on broadcast TV, where they just give you an Although, no, I would like that.
Makes sense with sitcoms and stuff.
I would like that specifically for Star Trek, because it would do my job for me for a game we used to play in club all the time, where you'd pull up a random episode and the group has to try to guess the episode title before the teaser's over. It'd be really nice if I could just press a button and an episode comes up, and then I could play too. I don't have to pick them myself.
You don't have to tell everyone to close their eyes for a minute.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I think
you're
all of those
basically back to
should
channel
have
surfing at that point.
Yeah, be great.
Yeah, and we haven't really been talking about this. Disney Plus does have a good watch list feature. I use those a lot because I dump a lot of stuff in there that I want to watch, and I just go there and flip through that. It's hidden away in the side nav, which is a good place for it, I think. I don't think having that as a row is as useful, although it works on HBO Max, I guess. The big thing for me that like you alluded to it, but you were talking about more about the movies. The biggest thing I love about Disney Plus is it has a lot. I say a lot. It could have a lot more. They're not great about it, but it has a lot of the golden age cartoons, like from the 20s, 30s, 40s, all that good stuff.
And quite a bit more than I thought they might have. No, it's nice.
Yeah, they don't do as good of a job of it as HBO Max, which might come up a little bit later. But I actually went through, and there is 84 Golden Age Disney cartoons. I've been doing research on this a lot lately because I've been buying these Disney Treasure DVDs, which came out in like 2002, early 2000s.
Aren't
and
those
they have
really
like
expensive now?
Yes, it was a commitment to get some of these.
I'm shocked that you're trying to get those. Yeah, those are really hard to come by now.
I really wanted the two Silly Symphony ones because I'm not as big on the Mickey Mouse and Donald cartoons. I did get a couple of those tins; they're over there. But I have the two black and white Mickey ones, which are awesome. But I'm more interested in the Silly Symphonies because if you don't know about these are from 29 and on, I think. Yeah. And this is right after Walt did Steamboat Willie. He started this series, which is like they're set to music, and a lot of them are like fairy tales, and they're just different things. I don't like watching like the same characters do everything, like Mickey and Donald or Bugs and Sylvester and all that. But like these are just like completely different stories, and the only thing they have in common is they're set to music, and a lot of time classical music. So I wanted to get my hands on those. There's a few of them. There's maybe like a handful, like 20 on Disney Plus, but these DVDs have like a ton more. So that's one negative. I wish they would push more of that old cartoon stuff. They kind of launched with it and then haven't really been adding any. I wish they would just occasionally add some. But another big feature that Disney Plus has, I don't know if you've seen these at all. They have the IMAX editions of all the Marvel movies on there. So you can watch Shang-Chi or Eternals in IMAX, and those, which is a complaint, they're not putting those on discs at all. So that is something that if I'm going to watch it, I'm going to watch it on Disney Plus because I want to watch the whole screen. I want to see all of it.
No, that's great.
And I can't. I bought the Blu-ray, but I can't watch it. So those look great. I've watched.
That's great that they've released that in any form. But as a collector, specifically of superhero movies, if it exists in that format, it is BS that I can't buy those and watch them. Now, can I give you the flip of that, though? It's also obnoxious unless you know of some reason still that they can't do this, but Disney full-on owns Star Wars. I still don't understand why you can't watch the original theatrical versions of those movies. In this day and age, after Lucas sold the thing, you still have to watch the special editions? Why?
They've got to be holding
it.
on to it, right? Like whenever they're Star Wars, whenever Mandalorian dies and and they have no Star Wars stuff, they're like, all right, let's release the original editions,
Wouldn't
and that'll be our big push.
If they just made a big, huge deal, like for the first time in 900 years.
Probably, they probably will.
I mean,
let me hold them their hat.
The original cuts.
When the MCU dies, that's what they'll do.
The original cuts of the Star Wars movies are sitting in Rita's dumpster. They're so old. I mean, it's been so long since they've released them, is what I mean. It drives me insane. A lot of fans, when Disney acquired it, were like, well, I'm a little bit leery. I don't know how I feel about, Disney owning Star Wars and Lucas selling out to a big corporation, but at least we'll get the original versions of the movie. Nope.
So be it. But yeah, that's basically my thoughts on Disney Plus. I watch it a lot with my son. I'm showing him those old 20s and 30s cartoons, which I don't really need it for that anymore because I got these discs. But yeah, I still watch some stuff on there with him. But yeah, it's great if you have kids or if you are trying to follow everything in the MCU, which I'm not. I've seen WandaVision and Hawkeye, but I didn't see the ones in between, and I don't care about Star Wars, so I'm kind of I'm in the middle of the road. That's why it's my number 3. It's right in the middle of my list.
Well,
I really like it.
Into that trap that everybody's fallen into, where it seems like quantity over quality right now.
Yeah,
and that's not to say that nothing they're making is good, and that it's all of that. But it's even if it's all good, it's just too much. It's oversaturation. It's just too much stuff.
You're not chomping at the bit to watch the Cheaper by the Dozen remake or the National Treasure series.
No, I'm good, man. I didn't even bother with that really craptastic looking Home Alone remake.
Oh yes, I didn't either. Yeah, those remakes.
But they've got content, DJ. They're putting stuff out.
They've got IPs that you know. But yeah, that's not why I'm there. That's not why you're there.
There are quality things. I need to get back to it, but I was really enjoying the Monsters Incorporated series that they were doing. The animation in that is shockingly up to spec. And
I didn't even mention that.
The writing is pretty good. I don't know if you've watched that. I watched like 3 episodes. It's solid. It's way better than it has any right to be, at least what I've seen of it.
I didn't have any interest in that, but I might check it out now that
I'm a big fan of those movies. And I wasn't expecting anything. I was kind of like starting at rolling my eyes going, this is going to be planes all over again. It's not. It's really good.
We didn't even mention all of the Pixar movies have been going straight to Disney Plus for a while.
Which is cool.
Which is great.
I'm surprised they're still doing that when they could put them in the theater.
I'm very surprised that they keep doing that. Like they're putting in their Disney movies, but they're not putting in their Pixar movies. I'm very surprised.
Have they just kind of written off children with movie theaters now? Where they're like, yeah, families going to theaters is a thing of the past.
Well, they're still doing it with their Walt Disney Animated Studios movies. So Raya and the Last Dragon and Encanto went to the theaters before, but they're dropping.
Is that
Pixar?
A Pixar move? Has Pixar convinced them to let them do that?
I don't know. I don't know why they're kind of second tiering Pixar. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Unless they think it's more of a pull to get people to sign up.
I don't know why Pixar would want that either.
No, I mean, yeah, you're not even. I'm not hearing about Pixar movies as much because they're going straight there. Like.
Yep.
I don't know. It's kind of a bummer, but it's good for us because we get to watch them. I still haven't watched, although it kind of like goes the other way too, where I still haven't watched Soul because it's just always there, and I don't feel like the need to watch it. But that was kind of a fluke though, because I've seen Luca a couple times.
And I've still never seen that, but I did see Soul.
Yeah, but yeah, that's another good thing. All right, so that was my number 2, and I think this is where you're going. My number 2 is HBO Max.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Is that on your list anywhere?
Oh, it is.
Okay.
But it is my number 1.
Sweet. No, I love HBO Max. I'm glad.
I say that, but I guess I don't right off know what your number 1 is then.
It's a mystery.
That's weird. What could it be?
What could it be?
Is it one I don't have?
I think so. I think it is.
Oh, okay. See, I thought that would happen somewhere, but I didn't think it would be your number 1. This is shocking. Yeah, I mean, HBO Max has it was my highest score with the math I did, and it was not tied for anything. Disney Plus got an 18 and HBO Max got a 19. And it was the only thing that got a 5 for selection,
Oh yeah.
Besides, I think YouTube TV I gave a 4 or 5 for selection, but of regular streaming services that don't have live content, it's the only one that got a 5 from me. It's
Yeah. That's
and
great.
honestly, I could have maybe docked it 1 just because I don't like how often stuff goes in and out on that service. But even with that, they still always have plenty of offerings and way too much stuff that I would like to see that I'll never get around to, which I can't really say as much about any other service.
Yeah. Yeah, I love HBO Max. Obviously, the big draw for me is the TCM library. They have a ton of TCM stuff on there, a lot of classic movies, and some of that crosses over with Criterion, which is great because I can watch them there and see if I want to buy them. They have a good international section, which we can't really say about any of the streaming services we've talked about so far.
That's a great point. Yeah.
I love. They do have the hubs, which is cool. It's on the side. It's a little bit harder to find, but you can pop in there. I love this. A big reason I use it is for Studio Ghibli. For my kids, I've been able to watch a few of those with my son. We watched Totoro. We watched Ponyo. Secret Life of Our Yeti. I watched with him, and Spirited Away. So
I didn't know that you ever watched any of the Ghibli stuff. That's interesting. I want to go through more of that library at some point. I find that those films are beautiful. I find them kind of sleepy sometimes, depending on what it is. And real late at night after I've watched my kids all day, it's so hard to focus on them and not actually fall asleep. You fall asleep even when they're great. Like,
yeah. Well, and that's why I love them because they're kids movies. Or they're not kids. They're movies that kids can watch, but they're not like something in your face all the time. Like they're just like My Neighbor Totoro is just like about a family that moves to a little house and they're just like living, and then one of the girls gets lost and they have to find her. It's like the most basic plot ever, but there's also like these god creatures in it. But I really like that one.
Dagan Spear says, I mean, with A-plus products like Titans, how could it not be so high on the list? I mean, that's the thing about HBO Max is that they also have so much original stuff that there's a lot of like dumb, silly stuff that's like trying too hard, but some of that's also stuff that was already being made before HBO Max started.
Yeah, because it absorbed the DC one.
Which you knew as soon as DC Universe was announced would happen eventually.
Yeah.
There's not one other service that's like just a niche genre like that. Let's just be superhero movies and just Warner Brothers stuff.
Yeah, they should have known that was way. I mean, it was cool that they mixed in the comics, and I heard that was a big part of it. But yeah, it was weird.
Well, that was a big success, and I'm so glad that they kept that because I use it, and it's really good for the most part. But yeah.
Another reason I use most of this is for my kids too. Like Cartoon Network, like we mentioned earlier, they have a lot of the Scooby-Doo shows on there. Not all of them. That's a little bit of a negative. I wish they would just fold in Boomerang at this point. But I understand why they.
Me too. I mean, like I said earlier, all the stuff that my kids were watching on Boomerang went to Max, particularly Cartoon Network stuff. So I haven't felt the need to hang on to Boomerang. We paid for it for a long time.
Mm-hmm. And it's like $5. It's not too bad, but
sure.
But yeah, I wish they either. Yeah, I understand why they want to hold on. They have about half Scooby-Doo stuff, but half of it on Boomerang, and that's what's keeping that afloat. So I understand why they have to keep that stuff over there, but they have a good selection of Scooby-Doo stuff.
I'm not sure why they don't fold that in at this point. Like, how much money is Boomerang really making them at this point? Yeah, I don't get that. And they've brought so much of it over. Like, I didn't know that was Scooby-Doo, but I would have thought that would have happened with Cartoon Network, where they might have split it, and like most of, if not everything they had, is over there now. Like, especially the '90s stuff that I care about.
Yeah, with Scooby-Doo, they've got Where Are You and the Scooby-Doo Show and the Scrappy Show, and then they've got the two new ones, Be Cool Scooby-Doo and Guess Who. But yeah, there's stuff in the middle, and there's a lot of the movies that they don't have. But yeah, it's a good selection. They also have Sesame Street, which is kind of a necessity if you have kids, and they have a lot of it. They don't have everything, but they have a good selection from each.
That's because apparently everything doesn't exist. I wonder. Well, I don't know for sure, but I wonder how many masters were lost of earlier season Sesame Street, 60s,
I believe that, yeah.
70s especially, because I don't know if you've looked at the early stuff much, but they've got stuff that is clearly taped directly off TV that's of the same quality that like people just uploading to YouTube is.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've
Mr. Rogers also had that. In like the documentary they put out right after, or like a couple years ago, and I'm wondering how much of that PBS stuff nobody even bothered to save.
Well, that would make sense, and I wouldn't be surprised if all of because they have like a couple episodes from each year. I wouldn't be surprised if all those episodes came from like DVD releases where there was like top 20 episodes on a DVD disc, and they just transferred them over. But it's fun to watch those old stuff with my son. And then
I just wish
another
the quality was better. It's sad.
yeah. They also have Looney Tunes, which like I said, I'm not a big fan of like the Bugs Bunny like 50s era, but before that, when they were doing all kinds of just like the Tex Avery like different things with different characters, I like a lot of those, and those are still under the title Looney Tunes, and there's a lot of that black and white stuff on there, which is really cool. My son's favorite thing on HBO Max is to watch Popeye. They have a lot of the old Fleischer Popeye stuff, a lot of it, like mostly all of it, and he loves Popeye. It's like his favorite show, so we watch through all that stuff. And I don't know, they just have a good, like you said, they have a great selection. They have it just added in a Last Chance section, which we haven't talked about at all yet, but Last Chance is a really nice section where you can just, like that thing where I'm not motivated to watch it because I know it's always going to be streaming. I actually like sometimes need that Last Chance section to be like, okay, I guess I have to watch this now because
finally look at it. Yeah, it always depresses me though when it's stuff where I'm like, oh really, you've had this forever and you're finally getting rid of it, or I gotta go chase it, or like it's a series I was in the middle of, or what's worse is when it's a thing that I just finally started bothering with, and then you announced, like Friday I started watching it, and Tuesday you're like, this is about to leave. I don't have time to finish this whole 8-season show. What are you doing to me?
What are you doing to me? But yeah, they also have they actually have what I've been complaining about this whole time, where they just have a section where you can go by genre. If you go into the side tab and hit genres, and you can go through, which is really nice. You can also split it up by movies and series, which is nice. So I don't know. I really like everything they're doing.
They're the best organized service, I think. It's easiest to navigate. It's easiest to find things. The search feature is really good. They've got A to Z for everything.
Mm-hmm. One quick minor gripe, but I said it was going to come up, is subtitles. They do something annoying. I didn't mention this when Disney Plus when I talked about it, but when you go in, as soon as you go into the subtitle menu, it pauses it, which like it's a small thing, but it bugs me every time. Like I just want to like go over, click it, and just keep watching. I just want
these things should be standard across the board.
Yeah, I don't even want it to stop while I go look for the subtitles.
No, and most of them don't. But it's weird that some of them. It's like we're reinventing the wheel when some of these services early on, especially Netflix, figured out, like testing things, what people really wanted and what people responded to most and what was most practical to do. Why do so many of these services feel like they have to start from scratch and then like maybe never... I don't know about this with Max as much, but like maybe never even pay attention to their audience and try to fix anything, where you just kind of leave it. It's like, well, we invented this in a weekend, Paramount Plus, and then we just left it like it was, and we never bothered to change anything.
Yeah. So that's a small gripe. But yeah, they're great. That would be my number one. I guess like 8 months ago, that would have been my number one. That I got on the HBO Max train when it dropped, and that's part of the big reason that I got so into like classic film as I did, was HBO Max. I think it's a great gateway if you go on there and you only watch Batman stuff or DC stuff, and then you see all that other stuff. It's a great way to get into it.
But the DC section is spectacular the way they've laid that out. There are a few movies and things that I hope eventually they get. And like I said, I don't mean to be a broken record. I wish they would quit cycling things out as much. I don't totally know why they feel the need to do that, because when Disney's not doing it as much, it's weird. And I've heard various theories and things for why they feel like they have to do that. But like, I still don't know if it's just I don't know, just keeping people subscribed to the month, like somehow constantly cycling things out and then making a big deal out of, we got this back, like they might rope people back in or something. I don't totally know why they feel the need to do that. And then there's things like, how come the Ultimate Watchmen cut is not streaming ever? They've never streamed it anywhere. Like, that's the one people want to watch. Cuts is a big
thing. They should be, a lot of streaming services should have more cuts. I mean, HBO Max has the Justice is Gray cut.
Yeah, that's the thing, is Max is doing well, and they have the theatrical and the director's cut for Watchmen. It is nice they have both.
Wow, that's cool.
But it would be nice if they put the ultimate cut up. I don't know that
Yeah,
anybody's
why
ever
not at
streamed
that
it.
point if you
Yeah.
have both already?
You know,
That's
so,
interesting.
so stuff like that. But they have some pretty obscure things with DC that I would not have expected them to do. And like, Super Friends is there, and I don't know. It's nice that they go back as far as they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of praise for HBO Max. We both really love it. What is my number one?
What is your number one?
Like I said, it would have been HBO Max just a little while ago, but I've gotten on the train. I've gotten on the Criterion Channel train. So Criterion Channel is the Criterion Collections streaming service, and
I didn't even know they had that. Okay.
it is just made for film fans. It is. I think it's pretty perfect. Not only does it have like a huge selection, it's basically like the TCM Turner Classic Movies, but like times 1,000, and even steering way more into the foreign films. If you know anything about Criterion, it's a huge majority of it is foreign films and art house films and like classic Hollywood films too, which I love. So it's a lot of that kind of stuff. I love the layout of it is super simple. It's completely different than anyone else. They just have like 3 tabs. They have a search, they have an explore, and they have a library. And explore is basically just the scrolling with the rows, and then the library has your list that you've added stuff to, my list, and then it has the resume in there, and it's really nicely organized and it's super easy to find stuff. And then I mentioned this briefly with Disney Plus, but Criterion is the king of collections. They are so good at making collections. They don't just have like franchises like Disney Plus does, but they have like they'll have like stories of New York, and they'll have like a bunch of movies that all take place in New York, or they'll have like a filmmaker's filmography, and they'll get at around November, like Thanksgiving time, they got Hitchcock for the holidays, and they had like 30 of his movies in a playlist for you to watch, which was really cool. It is early stuff. They have like actors' filmographies. They'll have like, they even go to so far as to have like themes, which is really cool. Like I just mentioned, like the New York Stories one, or like French New Wave will be like an era of film that you can check out, or even they have like themes. My favorite one recently was the Happily Ever After theme, which was like all of these adult fairy tale movies, which is where I saw Beauty and the Beast from 1946, and Black Moon, and Ugetsu, and Valerie and a Week of Wonders, like a lot of like adult, like R-rated like fantasy movies, but they were all in a nice collection. They also had like a Christmas collection that I watched around Christmas time, which was really cool. So I love their collections. What's really cool about their watch list is you can add movies to your watch list or collections to your watch list. So you can just pop that in there and then go straight to your list and just go through that, which makes it really easy. You don't have to find that theme or collection again. And then the big, huge thing that I love about them is bonus features. Way better than any other streaming service. They have, if you have like a Criterion Absolute Edition, if that movie, not all of them, but they do have movies that are on the streaming service that have all of the bonus features from the disc. So you've got commentary tracks, you've got deleted scenes, you've got interviews, you've got all the featurettes. You've even got alternate versions. Like there was in Valerie of a Week of Wonders, there was like an alternate score that was made for that movie in like the 70s, a little bit later, maybe 80s. And they put that alternate version on there so you can watch it with a different score. Like that's what I'm saying. This is like just made for like lovers of film. It's like it's really well done. And it's just opened me up to a ton of different, like you want to talk about like selection. Like there's so much stuff on there that I've never heard of that I'm learning so much about film. And they also have like most of their original content is like about film. So they have like a lot of like series like with interviews with directors and like archival interviews with directors and filmmakers and stuff. And they have like a lot of people talking about film and observations of film, I think, is one of their things. And then one really cool thing that they have is curation. So they'll have like a short and a film that go together, and it'll be like a package. You can click on it, and it'll play the short and the film, or they do double features with films that go together thematically or whatever, for whatever reason. And you can just click on that, and it'll play both films. And yeah, I don't know. It's really nice. They also have a newly added section, and they have a leaving. Theirs isn't called Last Chance. It's literally called Leaving, like March 30th or whatever. Like they actually put the date so you know exactly when everything's leaving, which is really nice. And they have a Saturday matinee. They have a section on there called Saturday Matinees, which is like films appropriate for family, which I go to a lot. I can just pop something on for my kids. But yeah, Criterion Channel. That's the one I've been watching the most lately. That's kind of replaced HBO Max for me, which is unfortunate. But because I was using HBO Max for mostly the TCM section, Criterion Channel has replaced it for me at this point. But like I said, I still use HBO Max for the kids stuff and the old cartoons for my kids. But yeah, and it's only $10 a month, $10.99 a month. And that's really where I've been watching new stuff so that I can decide if I want to purchase it, like I talked about earlier. But I highly recommend it. I think if you're wanting to get into film, or if you're a film student at all, start with HBO Max and get into that section, and then maybe go on to Criterion Channel. Although Criterion Channel's cheaper, so maybe start there.
I was going to say, I'm surprised by how scholarly that whole thing sounds.
Yeah, it's really for
you don't really need to take a film class. It's just kind of there. So that's
no. I've been doing I've been going through and watching all of Guillermo del Toro's films recently because I've been watching them all because he's releasing a new film this year, and they have two of his films on there, and then they have two of his short films on there, and they have like interviews with him talking about his short films, and they have like just a whole bunch of interviews where he's talking about everything. Like he has like almost his own series on there where he's just like talking about stuff. And it's been great to hear his opinion on movies while I'm watching his movies and stuff like that. They have they're really good with filmmakers, like because filmmakers have to approve like the movies coming into the collection, and sometimes not all the time, but
that's really
but
cool.
Sometimes they'll be like Wes Anderson approved, like this right here. Yeah. Sorry. I have Life Aquatic right here, and it says director approved by Wes Anderson. That sticker right there, and so a lot of times they'll film like specific bonus features for their releases, and those will be on the channel, or they'll just have like interview series with them and stuff. So yeah, it's really cool if you want to like get into and like broaden your horizons and like really get into film, which is what I've been doing the last couple of years. So specifically for me right now, that's why it's my thing. It might not be my favorite forever, but right now it's my favorite one.
Yeah, that's the thing I really should do. I didn't even know that was there. I've never understood the whole Criterion thing. Like Connor forever has talked about the collections and the discs and just how pretty they are and stuff. I never understood what it was exactly. I was like classic film something. I don't know what they have access to. I don't know what I didn't even realize that they would have access to enough stuff that they could even make a streaming service. Like I never understood all of that.
Yeah.
Because you guys are the only people I hear talk about that, and so I'm shocked they have a service. It's kind of an impractical thing for me right now. Like I need to do that, but I wouldn't use it.
Yeah.
Anything like enough. Because I'm not. I mean, like I'm having to have a TV on like a lot of the day taking care of the girls. I can't focus on smart stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Focus my attention. My wife and I started this kind of game together that we want to get back to, and we just again haven't had enough evenings. Where we were going through this cool book I have that's like what is it, like 1,000 movies you need to see before you die or something, and we were picking things in like a lot of film canon type stuff, right, and a lot of stuff that I'm sure is on Criterion or was on the Turner section on HBO Max. I wonder if they got Face in the Crowd.
I know they didn't right away because I couldn't watch it on there either.
Okay.
But they may have it at this point. They cycle stuff in, so
yeah.
they're up to about like 1,500, I think, in the physical collection. So they do have a lot of movies that they have the rights to. But there's also a lot of stuff on the channel that's not in the actual collection, which is really cool. They have access to a lot of like, and that's where I've seen like a lot more of stuff I can show my kids. There's not as much of that in the actual collection, but they have a lot of classic family related, like I said, in that one section, which is really cool because I've been able to show my son some older stuff, and that's where I first heard about like the 1942 Jungle Book and all the Cebu movies, because there's like a Cebu collection that I have, and that's where I first heard about him, and I showed my son those. But yeah, I don't know, it's very, very diverse, but like I said, it's a lot of foreign stuff, so if you don't like reading subtitles, then a lot of stuff on there is not going to be for you. But yeah. It's really cool.
What I was going to say is if I and I need to see more foreign stuff too, but if I am able to get back to that thing I was doing with my wife, we'll have to get that service because I'm sure I wouldn't have to rent as much. Because what we were doing was we would pick a list of each and not tell each other what it was, like 5 movies that we thought we should watch together, and then we would put them all on a digital wheel and spin it, and then that's what we would wind up with, and then we would just keep replacing things on it. And we started it, but we only watched 2 or 3 things.
Yeah.
We saw One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest that way.
I've still never seen that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, right now I'm watching through this playlist directed by Pier Paolo Pasolini, which is this Italian director who's absolutely bonkers and insane. And he did a Canterbury Tales movie that I just watched, and I need someone to see this so I can talk about it with them because it's the most insane thing I've ever seen put on film. His depiction of hell is like,
oh wow,
it's the most
cool.
insane version of hell that you've ever seen in a movie, and I need to talk with somebody about it because it's crazy. But yeah, it's I've been learning a lot. I think if you want to learn, definitely check it out.
Yeah, you're like intimidating me now because these are the things that I feel like I should have been doing for the last several years instead of wasting my time with like nothing but superhero movies.
No, it is overwhelming when you first get it. I think Austin signed up for a little while ago, and I think he canceled it because when you like if you're not in the, if you have to kind of do research because it's just like movies. Luckily, they have a section that's like all-time favorites. They have like a section that's like staff picks, so they walk you through. They have like the ultimate editions on there, like I said, with all the bonus features. So it's kind of, you can find your way, but yeah, it's a lot of stuff. It's kind of hard to know where to start. That's why I'm glad that I started with HBO Max and kind of like eased me into it. Yeah. HBO Max and being really good friends with Connor has like led to this point because I mean most of the stuff I do on my channel is because I was friends with Connor and we got into the Criterion collection and started collecting that together and stuff. But that is my number one. Surprise to say. Apple TV did not make my list.
Well, I would have been able to guess that if I'd known it existed.
Yeah, probably. But that's the only other one I have, Netflix and Apple. Apple is just, there's not enough there.
Fair, if we'd done this 2 years ago, DC Universe would have probably been my number 5.
Mm-hmm.
When that was still a thing. Even though I would still be kind of eye-rolling that something that niche existed. But, like, it was decent for what it was.
Yeah, I never checked that one out. And I've never checked out, well, I checked out Paramount Plus with you. I did the free trial. We talked about it. You've since got a lot more grievances with it than
you don't
than we
even know.
did.
I haven't cracked the surface on it.
And none of us have Peacock, so even though it's free.
Well, it's partly free. I mean, like
yeah,
I want to say they give you more of a selection if you pay for it. I'm not sure, but it's like
they do.
It's the rare streaming service that lets you watch a lot of things with ads for free, and almost on principle, I wanted to make it my number 5, but I haven't watched enough on it. I don't pay for it, and I've only used it a couple times. But I had to get it when Austin and I did that ridiculous stream for Clifford.
Oh yeah, that went to there.
That went to there, yeah.
That's amazing.
And I think that's where it went. We watched something on Peacock.
Yeah, I just opened up the app for the first time, and since I downloaded it, probably they have Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which is cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
What's something really cool? They're the ones that got The Office, which is like one of my favorite shows ever, definitely my favorite sitcom ever. And what they're doing is they're releasing extended episode cuts. So they're putting all the deleted scenes back in. You can still watch the originals, obviously, but that's really cool that you can watch them with deleted scenes. So like these episodes that I know like by heart, like I could probably quote them. I'm getting all this new content in there. And it's not all the jokes aren't going to hit. They were cut for a reason, some of them, but it's just cool to have that alternate version. Like I think the pilot, instead of being 20 minutes, was like 47 minutes or something. Like it ended up being
that can't be
way
well.
No, but it's just cool that they're actually doing that. And they've been pretty consistent. I think they've done like a few seasons already. So I want to get.
I already don't think that show's funny, so I can't imagine sitting through that. But
yeah, I'd like to get the paid version for a month or so and go through those.
Well, what I was going to say about that is and I've mentioned this before, but what's nice about Peacock is even if you don't pay for it, if you watch a movie on Peacock, they give you the ads up front, and then they don't interrupt the movie.
Oh wow!
And that's what I was gonna say is I almost wanted to put it on the list just on principle that like that's classy and everybody should have that has ads.
Yeah, that's actually a really genius way to do it. It seems like they're doing it right, but there's just too many at this point. Like they got in the game too late, and
exactly. No, it's like it's one of the best services that nobody's bothering with because nobody knows about it. And I don't know if their selection is any good because I haven't looked deep into what they have since you and I made that initial video.
Yeah, same here. And that's the biggest thing going against Apple, is that the selection is just so small because they just didn't wait till they had enough stuff, and also they combine everything in because they want to be the hub. They want you to access like Netflix and Hulu and everything through them. So like,
oh, I didn't know that.
Everything is all mixed in. It's Apple TV, and then you have to like go to a specific tab just to get the Apple TV Plus stuff, which is really, really annoying. And like they'll have like Hawkeye, the Hawkeye show will pop up on your Apple TV, and you're like, oh, that's not here. And then you can watch it, but you have to sign into your Disney Plus through them or pay for it. It's weird. I don't like it. I did watch.
That seems pointless to have a hub thing because most people use something like a Fire Stick or a Chromecast now, which already does that. Essentially, I mean, you have to open up different apps, I guess. Yeah, which has its own headaches sometimes, especially if you're trying to open Paramount Plus and you have to sit there for 5 minutes sometimes waiting for a thing to load. I can't tell you how often it crashes too. Like it's nuts. I mean, every problem you could ever imagine, I've had with it. There was this one time Brandon and I tried to watch Twilight Zone on Paramount Plus.
That sounds like a good time.
And the subtitles got 40 seconds ahead of the footage.
What?
And at the same time,
it's kind of lag issue. That's weird.
The audio was out of sync with the video by at least 3 seconds. Jeez. All at once.
Unwatchable.
You can't even imagine the madness.
Yeah, Tyler overall and Daniel Davis mentioned the tragedy of Macbeth. Yes, they did get Apple TV Plus did get that. I watched it on there, so it was good for that. They had a couple other good shows. Mythic Quest is really good. Morning Show is really good. And I watched the first couple seasons.
Two things you told me I should watch, and I'm like, I don't want to get that service though.
Well, and I should say this: I don't have to pay for it because if you get a new phone, they give it to you for a year. So I'm still on that. So, and it's $5 a month, even if you do have to pay for it. So it's really cheap. So at least they know they're worth. But yeah, so I'm still on the free year for getting my new phone. Like who, Cap?
I'm not gonna name any names.
You've actually probably subliminally advertised for them so much.
I probably have,
just by saying their name.
I'm not gonna name any names, but it rhymes with Fairmount Plus.
Ah, Fairmount Plus. I love it. No, I think we've talked. I don't think there's anything else. We even talked about the ones that weren't on our list.
We did
extensively. Yeah. So I think we covered everything.
This was really in depth. My apologies for keeping you up, DJ. I didn't expect this to be as in depth as it was.
I had a feeling. I mean, get me talking about streaming services. I don't think there's two people that could talk about streaming services more than the two of us. So we should have known it was gonna, once we got rolling, it was just gonna keep going.
Why is it our thing though?
I don't know. It's just our thing. Everybody's got a thing.
Yeah, but like we have a few things, and when you combine them all together, they don't add up. Like Power Rangers and streaming services, and I don't understand the things that are our thing. Like I get you and Connor with Criterion. Why are we like Power Rangers and streaming services?
We're the streaming. Well, we both come at streaming services for different reasons, so we got a lot to talk about.
Exactly. But I should be coming to them for the same reason you are. And I don't mean to lament the work I do, because I do still love talking about superhero movies and stuff, but oh boy do I miss smaller art house movies and stuff that was kind of more for what I went to school for, really. I mean, like, if I don't have time to read, I could at least be watching more introspective, character-driven movies. Like,
Yeah, but there's not enough time in the day, man. You got to pick your poison. Like it's really kept me. Like I said, I haven't been able to keep up with all the MCU shows because I've been watching all this stuff.
Yeah.
I seem to have picked the good ones though, because I saw WandaVision and Hawkeye, and everyone tells me I kind of dodged a bullet with the other ones. But we'll see. I'm gonna watch Moon Knight. I'm actually excited about that. So hopefully I can fit that one in.
I hope that's good. It looks neat.
Yeah, me too.
Well, thanks a lot for listening, folks, and thanks for watching half of your screen and listening to the other half of your screen.
Yeah, we should have just cut to a photo or something. I feel weird that I was the only one moving.
Daniel Davis says, "Yeah, I thought about that, but I guess I could have just cut to the title screen." Daniel Davis says Cap is going to be rediscovered in ice 30 years from now. Because I'm frozen, you see.
I see.
Yeah,
Sorry, I wasn't judging your joke. I was just reading another comment.
It wasn't even my joke.
I'm talking to him. I wasn't judging his joke.
Oh, I see.
I was just reading.
Oh, if he's looking over there, he's talking to those guys. He's like, leave me alone, Cap. I'm not even talking to you right now. We're the only people actually not in the room.
We've kept a steady audience, man. Look at we've still got as many people that were here when we started. So look at this.
See, that means that we don't even need to be on screen. Why do we bother? We could do these shows without, even bothering to comb our hair. If we wanted to.
That's true. I actually didn't today. I didn't shower today, so sorry for my ragamuffin appearance.
Oh, that explains the smell all the way from Georgia.
It's smell-o-vision.
Well, hey, I learned a lot talking to you about this, DJ, so thanks a lot for doing it.
Dude, I had so much fun. It was a blast, and I love hearing. And you talked about two that I didn't even have on my list. So there's always stuff. There's always more money I can pay to. There's more money I can throw away at streaming services. It seems.
Sure is, yeah. Well, I definitely am gonna have to, when I finally find some time, get on Criterion. And if you ever get rid of Hulu TV, go to YouTube TV. You will not be disappointed. That is the thing everyone should be doing if they want a cord cut, and don't mind paying as much or more than you're paying for cable to have all these services. It's too much. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm paying too much for it. There's things that every couple months I'm like, can we just cancel Hulu and HBO Max? We're not even using them anymore. And then my wife, something will come up. I say, nope, we gotta have it for this. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Well, thanks, Dagan Spear. He says our faces are what keep people away. Apparently, he thinks if we weren't on camera,
we would do better.
We would have more people interested in listening to us.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. We're not showing our faces anymore. I'm announcing it here.
That's going to be the big announcement tomorrow night for the 200th episode of the Captain Logan Show. Is no more
faces.
No more faces. We'll stay on YouTube just because we always have, but it's a honest to God podcast now.
Tomorrow might be a podcast. Like one of us might fall asleep halfway through. I don't know what's going to happen. 4 hours. 4-hour show. It's going to be.
Yeah, and after we were dumb enough to stay up this late, what are we doing?
I don't know. I'm going to get 4 hours of sleep tonight and I'm going to have to wake up.
I'm so sorry, dude.
No, it was worth it. This is one we've been talking about doing for a long time. I'm glad we finally got to do it. It's been great.
Yeah, me too. Now I feel guilty.
No guilt here. I chose to do it. I put myself through it.
Well, I'm gonna go beat myself up for keeping DJ awake. I'm gonna go flog myself, everybody. In the meantime, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you had a good time. I certainly did, until I felt guilty. And I'm just kidding. And we'll see you hopefully tomorrow night for the 200th episode of the Captain Logan. I'm getting delirious now. The Captain Logan Show. We're super excited about it. We're gonna. I'll announce one of the cool things that we're doing for anybody that happens to be listening right now. We're going to, for at least part of the show, take phone calls, which is a thing we've never done before. We will actually go to the phones.
Yes.
We make jokes about that all the time. That's not going to become necessarily a regular feature that we do every time on the Captain Logan Show, but we are going to try it out tomorrow night, unveil it, and we may
see how it goes.
We may do it again. We are talking about at least taking voice messages, and maybe we'll make that a relatively regular feature on the show, but that'll be the big new thing tomorrow night is we're taking some phone calls. So I'm not planning on starting that until maybe an hour into the show, so if you happen to be there and you want to call in, come for at least the second hour and see if you can get your call in and chat with me a little bit on the Captain Logan Show live.
That's going to be awesome. We're going to try it out. We want to hear from you guys, not just see your words.
Well, we better get going. People are complaining about how long this was.
Hey, it's just like a streaming service. You can turn it off at any time.
That's true. And we're our own special features. That's the thing, is all the special features are just baked into the show.
It's nothing but special features. Well, occasionally we put, it's like we splice our special features into the main program. So
Exactly.
We'll just go up on some like rabbit trail and just explain ourselves for 20 minutes. There's your featurette.
Yeah, there it is. It's in there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. I was Captain Logan. This is DJ.